What's up, and welcome to the Game Positive Podcast. Joining me again, what's this, the triple kill with Alex here, who's fresh off of Summer Games Fest. We're here to talk about Summer Games Fest, everything that happened there. Plus, we'll touch on a little bit of sad news that's going on in the game industry, but not go too far into that. But before that, Alex, how are you feeling after all that traveling?
Exhausted because like it was both SGF and vacation time. So it was me going to Vegas, riding on a shuttle to LA for SGF, riding on a shuttle back to Vegas to be with family, and then coming back here. So it was quite a trip.
Yeah, and for the listeners, you might not know this, but Alex doesn't live in Vegas. He doesn't live like next door to California. He's in an entirely different country. So it's a lot of traveling. Obviously, or I mean, we'll find out if it was worth it. I have a feeling it was.
Mhm.
But yeah, so this we normally jump into news. I think a lot of the news that's happening this week in games is pretty bad. And a lot of it is speculation and like reporting. Nothing's official. It's surrounding a bunch of potential layoffs, potential studio closures, potential restructuring amongst different gaming platforms and companies. But I don't want to talk about that twice. And I have a feeling if we dove into it today and got all angry about it, which I mean, don't get me wrong, if what's being said is true, it's definitely frustrating. I just don't want to get angry about it twice. And once everything's official and the dust is settled and we know exactly what happened, we'll be sure to dive into that. I'm sure. I mean, Alex probably would like to come back and get mad with me. I just don't want to do it today, especially when we're talking about the best time of the year in terms of the gaming calendar, which is E3.
Yeah.
Um, we'll probably just move right along unless you have something quick to mention about that.
Let's just say that week of 93 has been one of the happiest weeks that I've had as a gamer, and like with excitement for the future of gaming. That the news that we got this week that are still developing or still yet to finalize felt like the famous Joe Biden meme. It was like 15 9/11s. And I rather let's focus on the positive right now, and then I can come back whenever that officializes, and then I'm gonna load the ammo and unload, like whenever that happens. But
Exactly. Before we jump over there, just like right quick, I obviously we're wishing the best for all the teams out there that are affected or potentially affected over the next few weeks. Hopefully, there's as little disruption to people's jobs as possible, and once the dust is settled and we know the final count and the numbers and what actually happened across everything that's being rumored right now, we'll definitely talk about it. But for now, let's talk about Summer Games Fest or E3. Um, so I just want to say right quick, the showcases was awesome. I know typically a lot of podcasts like to just line up all the showcases and dissect every game that was shown and then rank them and say what company was better and whatnot. That's not what we're gonna do here. We're gonna focus more so on the games. So Alex and I both have our top 10 reveals across the entire week. And we're just going to go over them. And then at the end, hopefully, you'll get a list of really compelling titles that you may or may not want to check out or wish list. So we're going to go in descending order, starting at number 10. And I'll let you go first, Alex. What's your
yeah,
10th best reveal that you've seen
yeah,
at Summer Games Fest?
my number 10th is original reveal at the Xbox Showcase, Magician: The Devil's Deal. From Focus Entertainment. This was a top 10 because other than it being one of the few actual new stuff that we got to see at the Xbox Showcase, I'm always a sucker for BioShock style like games, like first person, like immersive sim kind of games, and the fact that this is a full on magic game instead of like a shooter with magic elements, I was like, why has no one done this? Like, obviously, we've had magic games, like obviously Hogwarts Legacy came out literally 3 years ago to the chagrin of a lot of people in the internet, but it was a massive success. And you don't get many magic games, and that one, the fact that it's full on magician game, it looks like Bioshock, is like, give it to me. Coming out next year, it was such a definitely one of the bigger pops. I was there at the live, like at the watch party they held at there in LA for the Xbox Showcase, and I would say besides the exclusivity announcement at the beginning of the showcase, this was definitely the biggest pop that I heard for like a game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Magician the Devil's Deal, my number 10.
Coincidentally, that is also my number 10. I feel
Nice.
very similar. I will say the beginning of it, like the first half of the trailer, I was thought, okay, this looks cool. Like a lot of pretty much every game, honestly, that we've seen this weekend looks
Mhm,
cool to a degree to me. Because the first half of the trailer is pretty confident it's just CG, and it's more so just introducing like the story or the world to a small degree. But then once it cuts to the gameplay and you can see like the first person hand animations, really reminded me actually of Avowed, specifically like
mhm,
the reveal trailer for Avowed when they're casting the spells with their hands.
mhm,
Looks really
in
cool,
2020,
like
mhm.
the twirling of the magician wand and stuff. It looks really cool. I used to be super skeptical when a game looks this cool and it's made by a developer I've never heard of before, but I've been proven
Mhm.
wrong on that so many times. Like I thought Black Myth Wukong was vaporware. That's was probably my game of
It
the
was
year
for a
that year.
while.
Yeah, and Stellar Blade was another one. I have full faith in Phantom Blade Zero now, even though initially I thought similarly. So there's a lot of evidence out there that like a studio can just pop up out of nowhere and deliver something exceptional. And so I have a lot of faith in this. And to be honest, there's not a lot of games that get put on a stage like this, whether it's Xbox or PlayStation or whomever, that aren't there for a reason. So like chances are like you have a high probability of being a good game. I just would say if you're on a stage like this. So yeah, I think it looks really cool. It was definitely from the Xbox showcase, it was probably one of the bigger surprises. A lot of the stuff there was shining a new light on things that we may have heard of before. I love the showcase. I'm not trying to put it down. Everything they showed looked amazing to me, but this was something that you would have never been able to predict because it's just such so out of nowhere,
It's
which
yeah.
really helped.
I will always hold a big value to new stuff. This has been a generation where getting something really new has been very few and far between. And just think about how exciting it really is to get something legit new, and for that to hit like a rock. Like look at Expedition 33, ironically revealed at the 2024 Xbox Showcase. Like completely new team, like smaller team, newer team. Obviously this is, I wouldn't call this genre underserved like the turn-based like high fidelity JRPG was, or French RPG we would call it with E33. But it's like I like that it's in that middle tier where the excitement is really lying more than in the high budget, like the super high budget stuff. So yeah, shout out to Magician Devils, especially because they showed gameplay in the second half of that trailer. If it was just like the beginning, I would have been like, oh, cool, that's interesting. But the fact that then we started seeing what it was, I was like, it is this kind of game. Cool. It's on the list.
Cool. Yep. We'll go snake draft style. So I'll do number 9, and just to
Hmm.
keep things going with games you've never heard of from studios you never heard of. My number 9 game is it's called Into the Unwell from Day of the
Hmm.
Devs. I know Day of the Devs doesn't get watched a lot. It's typically it's not going to be full of bangers. Obviously, it's a lot of indie games. I think that this year specifically had a lot of really cool stuff in it, and I would definitely recommend watching. It's only an hour. There's a lot of the personality of the developers gets shown too because they have a lot of these interstitials where they talk a little bit. It's not overdone. It's like maybe a minute or two, but it's nice to see some faces. Into the Unwell is I would describe it as like Cuphead, like rubber hose animation style, mouse PI kind of animation style, but it's full color. But gameplay, that's like the aesthetic, but gameplay, it looks similar to maybe like a Psychonauts or like an action platformer. Except I believe it has up to 3-player co-op as well. It's made by a brand new developer. I think this is their debut title. Developer's name, I believe, is She Was a Good Horse. These developer
That's such a
names are,
yeah, that's such a
yeah,
great dev name.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
I'm.
developer names, like, I remember in the back in the day when it was just, like, so basic, the names, like Rage
Mhm,
Entertainment or something like that, and yeah, they had to get a little creative now. It's like trying to
yeah.
get a new social media handle in 2026 when all the good ones are
Mhm,
taken. You have to get
yeah.
super creative. But the game
This
itself,
looks really. I'm looking at the trailer right now. This definitely looks up my alley. Like
yeah.
hack and slash. It has like kind of like that hack and slashy that if you kind of play Kingdom Hearts, it has kind of like a little bit of that like flashiness when you're seeing like them attack the enemies here. So hopefully you can put the V-roll like in the post
Yeah,
edit
maybe I'll
for
do
this.
some real editing this time and put some
Mm-hmm.
B-roll on there because I have a feeling a lot of people haven't seen this, but a lot of
Mm-hmm.
personality. I don't know if you're watching the trailer on mute, but if you're not, there's
Mm-hmm.
a really cool soundtrack, very like kind of like punk rock a little bit. Very interesting trailer. And then at Day of the Devs, they had like I said, a little interstitial talking with the developer, slight like just for a little bit. Seems really cool. I was really hoping that it would be like available in Steam Next Fest, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not. At least not openly. You have to like request it. I haven't gotten in yet. So I'm hoping to dive in on this game soon and get a chance to play. But yeah, that's definitely my number 9.
Coming 2027. Looks cool. And from
Yep.
Coffee Stain Publishing.
Yep.
They're doing really like for if you like indie games, Coffee Stain has a good repertoire to its name, I would say.
Yeah, I think they really just became gazillionaires with Valheim, and now they're putting it
Hmm.
back, and then they're finding all these gems, which is yeah, it's been really cool.
Yeah. So now my number 9. So we didn't see much of this one, but this was a Summer Games Fest. It's more like the idea because I can really see how the devs last game can really like adapt to this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, which was re-revealed at Summer Game Fest now, like out of the Embracer groups, kind of like an initial like group that was that was making this game, and now into the hands of Platinum Games. So I'd say that why I'm excited for that is I reviewed Ninja Gaiden 4. So many of the weapons that you use as Yakumo are literally the TMNT weapons. So I can literally like just picture them like swapping Yakumo into the Last Ronin and make that kind of game. And the Last Ronin is a very hardcore, more mature like take on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle story. It's so cool. It's so good. I highly recommend people like look for the look for the volume for the Last Ronin. It's already complete and it's such a great story and such a like if Platinum can even get remotely as close in quality of what they deliver with Ninja Gaiden 4 with this, TMNT Last Ronin fans are gonna be in for a treat. That had quite the pop at the at the Summer Game Fest like live show. If which by the way, like let me just say, like it's a different experience getting to be like witnessing one of these showcases like as a live event with people because when you hear the cheers, it's like it adds to the weight of the announcement. So that this one why it's not higher is because we didn't see much of it, but I can already picture like what this could be just based on Ninja Gaiden 4. So that's my number 9. My number 9 and surprise announcement. I thought this game was dead
So
because Embracer got killed. So
so I actually have this on my list all the way up at number 4. Uh,
that's awesome.
and there's a reason why. A couple of reasons why. One, I fucking love the Ninja Turtles. Like after
Hmm.
Batman, it's probably number 2, and I think the Last Ronin is probably like again, if you just take away Batman, it's probably the best comic book of all time. Again, if you take away Batman, there's tons of Batman comics that I think are better. But, anyways, it's a legendary book, legendary story, and it's very important for Ninja Turtles because it's also a revival of Ninja Turtles, because they kind of got put through the grinder a little bit with some of the adaptations and things that we've seen lately. And so when they first revealed that they're making a Last Ronin game, it was kind of devastating because it was being made by I think the Game Mill or and I'm not
Hmm.
trying to be mean
It
or
wasn't quite Game Mill, but it was a random developer under Embracer that then like once they lost the $2 billion like investment that deciders were gonna give them, like it got killed in that entire in that entire bloodbath. So uh
Black
but it
Forest
wasn't
Games.
yeah, it's bad. It definitely like, if you hear Game Mill, you know that game's gonna be bad. Like Game Mill is like the modern current like bottom tier like licensed developer.
Yeah, so they
So
made like Bubsy the Woolies Strike Back and like
mhm.
and I'm not trying to disparage them. I'm like I have a few most of the time when like games come out that are not like necessarily the best, it's usually like budgetary and not like skill or anything like that. So I'm not trying to be mean to any developers out there because everyone at any game studio is a better game developer than me. But
Mhm.
the the why I was disappointed was the investment into the franchise did not seem to match the like
Pedigree.
gravitas
Mhm.
and like how much the franchise is worth. That's what I was afraid of. But Platinum Games is a whole new story. So it's a like a breath of fresh air. I know Platinum Games sometimes, sometimes they take a
Yeah.
game or so off. But they've even like the last Ninja Turtle game they made on Xbox One, Mutant Stake Manhattan. That was a
It
tight
was not
budget.
good.
It was a tight budget, but it
Yeah.
was still fun. It was still a fun game.
Mhm.
And I think that I don't know. I think I don't want to get into it too much, but I think the main negative aspect of platinum is no longer there. You can do your own research, but so I
Mhm.
have faith in this. I think that that's probably one of the best studios you could have picked.
Yeah.
Sorry, to make this, and so it was like, and I also had no expectation that this was going to happen
Mhm.
because I had it locked in my head that we were going to get a disappointing Last Ronin game, and now I'm
Mhm.
full hype. So that was a huge moment for me at Summer Games Fest.
Yes, and Platinum Games lives and dies by who partners with them and how much time and money they give them. Give them enough time and money, they give you gems. Give them, squeeze them out like with something tight, you get bad stuff from them. So it's like it's not entirely of they have an inconsistent like a portfolio, but you can really like connect like when they hit and the whys. And I'm hoping, especially because this is under now the new Paramount Games like initiative that's now like creatively led by Amy Hennig, that at the very least I would hope that they would want to like try to keep the quality up. And if you put someone like Amy Hennig, who obviously right now like she's kind of like on the ropes right now because she has not released a game in 15 years, and her last her supposedly like upcoming Marvel game, the 1943 Rise of Hydra, which was supposed to be out this year, and now it's like completely MIA, is like I don't know if she can like really prove it in modern times if she still got it, but at least just based on the things that she has put out, I know she knows quality. So the fact that now the Paramount is gonna take this whole games initiative more seriously gives me more hope for this Last Ronin game than it was when it was under Embracer, which was your ceiling was double A quality. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was my number 9. So,
Cool. So speaking of being completely off in terms of our numbers, my number 8 is God of War Laufey. Um,
that's a mine.
that's your number 8?
No, that's on my list. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm sure it's much higher on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so just to be clear, I am a humongous God of War fan. It's probably my favorite PlayStation franchise, and like all in, it's probably in my top 10, maybe even top 5. I'm getting the collector's edition day 1. Um, it doesn't it's this is not me hating the game in any way, shape, or form, and I'm definitely not going to be joining some people online who are
The chuds.
yeah. But I do you maybe you'll file me under there after I'm done talking. So, I think that I have some problems. And again, none of these problems are going to stop me from buying the game or playing it. I think that there is a 0% chance that this game will ever be as good as it could have been if it was led by Kratos. I hate it when any studio has a iconic character, which are so few and far between in this industry. There's maybe 20 of them across the history of gaming that would be as iconic as Kratos, and they decide to spend 5 years, hundreds of millions of dollars, completely erasing him from a marquee title. It's going to make the the wait from the last Kratos game to the next Kratos game like a decade, which I don't like.
Mhm.
Also, that's like my biggest problem. I really just want to play as Kratos in the God of War game, and I do have a nitpick though. This just really bugs me. I know that in the lore, in the game, in the ancient Norse texts, her name is Laufey.
Mhm.
However, every report leading up to this called her this the Fae game. Every fan, every person who talked about this before it was revealed called it the Fae game. Every time a character in the game talks about her, mentions her, talks like says anything that has to do with her, they call her Faye.
Okay.
Anytime the
Mhm.
developers talk about this game, other than telling you the title, when they're talking about this character, they call her Faye. Faye is a word
Yeah.
that anybody can look at and read. Nobody knows how to say this, and it's so annoying to me that that's the title. I feel
Yeah.
like it should have just been called Faye because that's literally
Yeah.
what everyone knows her as, calls her, says it. Even the
Yeah.
developers themselves, even the lead writer, even the creative director, call this the Faye game, call her Faye. That's just a
Yeah.
pet peeve, a really like nitpick, but that's annoying too because literally when this is on the box and in the key art and on the title card, like a lot of people look at that and they're like, "What the hell is that word? What does Lao Fei mean?
Lao
Is it
Fei.
LaFei,
Yeah,
LaFei,
or
Lao
Luffy.
Fei,
So
Luffy?"
I heard Luffy.
Yeah. So that's a nitpick. It has nothing to do with the final product. Really, it's not going to impact the game at all. I will say, um, I was happy, honestly, that just to circle back a little bit, the leaks, I guess, and rumors about this was that it was quote uh
Prequel.
not a new IP, but so different it may as well be. It's not. It's
Mhm.
not, and that's a
Yeah.
good thing. It is absolutely God of War. Obviously, you're not playing as
Mhm.
Kratos. It looks like God of War. Yes, you can jump, but this is God of War. They had described it as Devil May Cry. I don't think those people have played Devil May Cry. It's
Yeah, they
nothing
think that
doesn't look.
juggling something in the air automatically makes a Devil May Cry. I'm sorry, dude. It's like you
You
have to play
can
Devil May
juggle
Cry
people
to
in the air as
understand.
Kratos. It's
Yeah.
yeah. But
And
like just to end on positive, they showed a really beefy, long gameplay demo. It looks
mhm.
fantastic. It looks absolutely stunning. There is some, there's a lot of questions about like the setting and stuff. Like what is the cube? Obviously, nobody knows. I will say, just one last thing. I think the way that it's written like or the way that they've built this mechanism, this narrative mechanism to be able to keep it kind of grounded in Norse, but have a way to feed in gods from other pantheons is super super smart. It reminds me of like Assassin's Creed and how the Animus is such a awesome narrative device to be able
Mhm.
to draw from different historical points while also keeping it grounded in universe. I just think that is genius from whoever it was. Alana, I know obviously I'm just gonna say Alana Pierce because I know she was on the team, but I know there's other people
Yeah.
too. Absolutely genius way of doing it. I think it's way cooler than just saying like, oh, now in this game he's randomly in Egypt, which is kind of like what happened a little bit with 2018. Just want to say like shout out to the writers. That's a really clever way of giving us what we want, but still keeping it grounded in a consistent framework.
Yeah. This was definitely higher on my list, and I would say that I've gone through a journey in this game that as time has passed, the more I like what I've heard and I've seen of it. I had to remove myself like from the initial like showing where obviously because we knew that it was a fake game, and in the leaks we heard the whole it's gonna be like Devil May Cry, it's Cory Barlog's next game, and it's a prequel. So I was like, oh, spinoff. But then when we saw it, it's like, no, it still looks like kind of like God of War. And now hearing that it's now like considered the next mainline entry, so it's at least not just a disposable a prequel, kind of like Gears of War Judgment, which good game. I like Judgment, but it's like something in the past is just something to the side, nothing too crazy. And the more I keep seeing the gameplay, because I rewatched it a couple times and I finally
Same.
removed from the it's it's really unfortunate. Screw Nate the hate that they really ruined this for them because they got so close of this being a really surprising reveal. And I understand why Corey Barlog he came out of the woodwork to be like he co-signing like being more intentional and screwing with leakers, because it's like it's part of the panache and how you sometimes reveal this stuff. And I think I do like seeing a little bit more of the verticality of what they're doing with Faye. I like what how they built Faye because it's like it's living up to the Faye they describe in 2018 and Ragnarok. Like in those games that you hear that she was like this grander than life, like tour de force that some people say is like kind of the closest you could get to an anime character, like in the God of War universe, that was able to face Thor to a standstill in one of like the big side quest areas of Ragnarok, which is so cool, which is called the Crater, which is one of the greatest lore builders where you kind of like piece together what happened, and now you kind of see a little glimpse of like what makes her so intense with the way she like flies around and handles weapons and all that. I like the sense of scale. It, it's I'm still a little bothered. They're still sticking to the one shot camera that's stuck to behind to be like over the shoulder, because I do feel that when you're trying to get everything under one shot, you miss out on being a little bit more cinematic. I did like when in the big boss fight that they showed at the end of one of the God of Wars, or the God of War from Tibet. It's like that big red dude. I like the scale that boss fight went, because it's like the grandiosity that they kind of pared back from God of War after God of War 3. Like obviously they've slowly been trying to like bring that scale back. And now that this is this is now a full on PS5 game, compared to the Ragnarok that was still a cross-gen game that they said was built first for PS4 before scaled up on PS5. You can kind of see that grandiosity, that it's part of Santa Monica stuff. And I am really the thing that makes me more excited, especially hearing more of the interviews, is that there were a lot of things in Ragnarok that were left unresolved, that were set up in 2018, that I was worried they were not going to get resolved, because they decided to end that thing at 2 games. I feel this in a way allows them to circle the loop on both the North Saga, and I like this new setup that at least we get an idea of like a grander universe and pantheon of gods, that we can kind of like see how the God of War franchise can still continue. And obviously, right now, let's see how this fares as a Kratos adjacent game. Obviously, he's still in the game. He was in the entrance in the glimpse. So they're still kind of like trying to make sure that he's still part of it, even though you're not like controlling it. So, and I've been really curious how much Sony's pushing this game now. Have you noticed their socials? They're like
Yeah,
promoting it like it's coming. They're talking and showing this game so much in their Twitter account that you would swear this is their fall game. Like, sorry, Wolverine.
yeah, that
like
is weird.
yeah, it's really weird. And and just kind of as a side tangent, I wonder if that's them understanding that that Wolverine gameplay reveal, which was the start of the state of play. I talked with a lot of people that were at SGF, and I try to have conversation with the not Xbox dudes, because I knew they would try, because sometimes how this conversation could go. A lot of people were not that impressed with Wolverine, even like super high positive people like Jake Baldino. I talked with him, and he was like, "Yeah, that Wolverine thing, man. It's like I don't know. There was a lot of I don't know." And I wonder if Sony's feeling that they're like, you know what, Faye, it's coming real soon, and we know from leaks that it's supposed to be much sooner than we think. So this could be like maybe early 2027. Who knows? Like I know part of that leak was pegged this at 20 as a 2027 game. So um, I'm excited, especially as God of War. Like I hold 2018 with such high esteem, and I've gone on my journey with Ragnarok. Where like one of the times when I was in your show, as I was trying to get the platinum again, I bitched a little bit more about it, but that's because I was playing the PS4 version, so it was slower than playing the PS5. I've gone back to it, and it's like that game's still really great. I still love God of War as a franchise, and I'm just excited to get more. And I'm always like open to seeing like a fresh take on things, and I'm more open to this with the fact that they're putting their weight behind it and not just like as a random spin-off. I want to see them prove why this is worthy to be considered their next big main game, especially with that concern with you, like the opportunity cost is like you like playing as Kratos. So this means that after Ragnarok Valhalla, now it's gonna be how many years before he comes back? And obviously they did mention that they have more Kratos stories to come. So uh
Yeah,
really curious to see how what they do with this. So
I mean, yeah, me too. And I think that the fact that they felt the need to even have to say that makes me think that they know that people were not
mhm,
going to be happy, or like at least some people were not going to be happy with that. And yeah, the problem isn't that that I don't like Faye or that blah blah blah. It like you said, it's the opportunity cost, because
mhm,
I would bet my life that there's no possible way this could do better than a Kratos led game. And if this and there is like I think like 30% of the interactions or more on their YouTube reveal is dislikes. And
mhm,
you can hand wave away like a lot of them are probably like idiots that weren't going to buy it anyway, but that's still pretty bad. And I just don't want so my gut feeling is this game's going to come out. I'm going to love it. It's going to score really high with critics, and it's going to have a lot of backlash in user reviews. It's going to be like the
mhm,
opposite of Days Gone. And if that impacts
yeah,
sales drastically, I don't want that to have any negative impacts on the team in any
mhm,
way, because they're one of the best developers in the world easily. And
yeah,
and yeah, it sucks because I know that this game's going to be awesome. I know I'm going to buy it and love it and play it and platinum it. I
It,
just
re-
hate the fallout that's potentially going to come.
you already like you can smell the grifter like circle, like what's gonna like how annoying is gonna be just talking about this game. We see it with Intergalactic, we've seen it in the post Last of Us 2, like and all these games that have now become female led. To me, I'm like I'm a big Deborah Ann Woll
Yeah,
fan. Like
same.
I loved her in True Blood. I love her in Daredevil. So and I was so pleased when I saw that she was Faye in Ragnarok. So I was like, that's such a nice pull. It's just she's such a great actor that she can like anchor this. So that's why I'm like, to me personally, I'm excited because like I like the pedigree like that's behind it,
Oh
and
yeah. Yeah.
I am now even more curious with Cory Barlog's now role as a game developer because he lists himself as the head of creative. I don't think he's gonna direct like unless like because remember when last we did our predictions, which I don't know what were the results. I think I
I forgot
lost
about that. You
mightily.
definitely did not
Yeah,
win.
yeah. I lost mightily on the PlayStation stuff because I banked too much on first party stuff. And now in hindsight, understanding the reasons why they showed this in theaters. Had I known that context, I would have recalibrated what my expectations were. But but like besides that, this game was the most talked about game of SGF according to like the game's business that tracks a lot of like metrics
Yeah, I have a
for good and
problem with
ill.
that. I
For
have a
good, yeah, for good
yeah.
for good and ill. That is like it generated a lot of conversation, and I find that really funny. But I feel that also speaks to the popularity of God of War as a franchise. Like Ragnarok sold a shit ton, like out of the gate. Like that is one of the best sellers of this generation. So it's like I understand that, but then you also understand like the other side, which has become so utterly predictable. But thankfully, like I've learned to tune that out, and I just can't wait to see when this game comes out. I am just scared at the idea when it could come out because there's so many games I'm very excited for that are coming out really soon, like in the early in the post GTA 6 like nuclear aftermath, which
Yeah.
pre-orders soon for GTA 6 based on where we're recording.
Yeah. Uh yeah, I think I love the Game Business YouTube channel. I think it's very insightful. I do think that Dring for some reason just doesn't like. I mean, I'm sensitive to picking up on stuff like this, which doesn't mean
Mhm.
I'm right. It just means that I see it more. I watched him quote what you just said in two different videos where he's talking about the most like interacted or most viewed like trailers or whatever. He always says that God of War Laufe was number one, even though a lot of it was hate views. Like I said, it has like 40% dislikes, and it also has like half the views of what Spyro had. So I don't even know where that number's coming from. But then on the flip
So like
side,
why Spyro has more numbers because like a lot of those trailers count the ads, they show up as ads, so that inflates it. It's like in raw like actual views, there's more people saw the God of War one than Spyro. So it's a weird thing with like the algorithm that sometimes you know how some trailers play like before you watch like a YouTube video, they count that as a view even though it's not from that like from that thing. So
I don't. Yeah, I mean,
definitely look it up.
I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the views on YouTube. Like Spiral might be
Mhm.
higher now. I looked at it the day after the showcase and it had like 11 or 12 million, and God of War today is at about 7.5 million. But then the other thing I don't like is every time he brings up E-Day, which is lower down the list, he's like, E-Day's there, but it's only because of the exclusivity news. And I'm like, no, I think E-Day has a lot of views because E-Day looks fucking sweet. Okay, I don't know why you have to boost up God of War, not mention the fact that it's hate watched, and then try to take out Gears at the knees and hand wave it away like it's only popular because of this. Anyways, that's my Chris Ridgering rant. Right quick,
Yeah.
let's go. I did bring up the sheet here. I won't go through every game. I'll just go through every conference. So the results for the PlayStation showcase, like you had said, you bet heavy on first party. They did not show up.
Hmm.
For everybody, if you don't remember, don't recall, we were giving predictions, but we would gain points if we got it right, but we would also lose points if we got it wrong. And you had an opportunity to kind of have a more accurate prediction or add more context to gain more points or potentially lose more points. So total
Hmm.
for PlayStation, you ended up with 2 points, and I ended up with 26 points.
Yeah.
Um, so
And that's the thing. Like some of the things I got right, but because I've just banked on so much, I got so many like negative points that
yes,
after everything got added up, I was at two. So
yes, I was very much not banking on first party, and it paid off. Summer Games Fest, if I recall, was closer. Summer
mhm,
Games Fest, you ended, and Summer Games Fest as well. Just another uh, context provision. There was a lot less predictions here because we weren't going through like a list of studios and stuff. So you ended up with 8 points there, and I ended up with 8 points as well.
mhm. Intergalactic, I think, is the one that screwed me there, like in both counts, because I banked for Intergalactic to either show up at State of Play or at or there, and Intergalactic was a no show. So
Well, and you said Final Fantasy Part 3 would be the opener, but it was the book, the
it was the
ender.
closer. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so yeah,
I
uh,
and that's when I'm like, I'll never just trust the gaming leaks and rumors, because remember, it was because we had heard that like Final Fantasy was gonna be there, but that Jeff wouldn't give them the big spotlight, which ironically that was the big spotlight at the end of that showcase. Like to my pleasant surprise, because it was a big blowout
yeah,
of a showing for Final Fantasy. So
and we were
yeah,
giving, a bonus point if you got both bookends right, so you actually had Wolverine and Intergalactic for the bookends of
uh,
PlayStation. So
yeah.
Intergalactic really screwed you there. I actually had Wolverine and
Hmm.
God of War Fey, not Lao
Yeah,
Fei.
so you're gonna
So I
so
got
you
the
got like tripled.
bonuses. Yeah, but I said GTA 6, Half-Life 3 for the bookends of
Mhm.
Summer Games Fest. Anyway, Xbox, you ended up with 10 points. I ended up with 26. So the total was 20 to 60, which is
Yeah.
Xbox. I think I had a little bit more of the bonus points from the predictions.
Mhm.
We kind of were pretty neck and neck with this. I might actually recount this because looking. Or wait, no. Uh, yeah, you had said that there would be a lot of stuff that wasn't there. I think. Anyway, I can send it to you. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was the predictions. Anyways, it was fun.
Yes.
I actually really liked doing it that way. I thought that was fun. I wish I
Yeah.
remembered it so we could have opened this show with it because that would have made more sense. But
Uh,
but
yeah, but
anyways,
it's like it's been like 2 weeks since we did that, so it's like it might as well I just keep like talking about the games. So yeah,
yeah,
so
exactly.
Love is pretty high on my list.
Yeah, so
I'll
I had
say
an
it
eight.
whenever we get there. I can
Oh,
wait until later to tell you where it is,
okay,
or should
cool.
I say now?
It
Should I
doesn't
say
matter.
now where it
I
is?
said that TMNT was 4, so I was just gonna skip it, but I mean,
Mhm.
it doesn't really matter.
Okay, okay. It was my number three.
Okay,
So
cool.
for Love Fate.
Uh,
So
so I'll go next. I don't know if I can pronounce the name of this game. I'm gonna give it my best. I think it's Italian.
oh, actually, because you mentioned Love Fate was your eight. I'm next with eight.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
saying
go
my
ahead,
eight.
go ahead, go ahead.
Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Uh,
Okay.
it was funny. I immediately clocked this with Stellar Blade as soon as I saw it.
Yeah, I
Like,
knew.
as soon you can tell from the visuals, it's like there's just a very particular look to South Korean high budget like games, and based on like the high tech. As soon as I saw the monster, I was like, "That's Stellar Blade. That's literally Stellar Blade." And it is interesting how much more melee focused this seems like it is, considering it's called Stellar Blade.
Yeah,
Obviously you see her still doing like blades, but it's like a lot of people are comparing the combat to God Hand, this like very old
yeah.
classic like PS2 Capcom like action game from Mikami, from was it Kamiya that made that? Probably, I think it was.
I think it was
But
Platinum, maybe. I can't remember.
mhm. Clovers, it was
Or
Clovers before
Clover
the
before
team
Platinum. Yeah,
for Platinum, and that thing's a cult classic. And anything that reminds me of that, I'm all in. And the thing I like most about this one is like the original Silver Blade happens around a lot of deserty area, and this one is happening more in like a more cyberpunkian like developed society. And that makes me more curious to see like how that changes the dynamic of, are they still going to try to occupy the in between being a character action based game and a souls like, because it had kind of like the, I call it the souls like, that it had the campfire system, and if you died, like some enemies take your XP and then you go back to and you recover that XP, things like that. But like the action was combo based that got closer to a character action based game, but it occupied kind of like that in between niche that made it unique. I wonder if they're gonna still do that, or if it's gonna rely a little bit more on action stuff. Like you were mentioning Phantom Blade Zero. A lot of people played Phantom Blade Zero at Summer Games Fest, and the thing that people love it the most about it is that it's not a Souls like. That it's like leaning stronger towards more of its actiony focus, despite the visuals making it feel like a Souls like. It's tough. It's a tough game too, and I feel there's a different tempo when you think of a Souls like that tends to be more deliberate because it's like if you're not like locked in, your the punishment is quite severe, and then there's the get good side of things, and I feel like if it's gonna get more melee focused, it means that you're gonna get good. And like I prefer that kind of action game. So let's see how soon before this one comes out. Like very excited for the next server. But I really like the original. So
Yeah, I'm not finished the original, but I'm pretty far into it. I don't know why
mhm,
I fell off, but I definitely want to get back to it. I think that it gets a little bit of a bad rap for like the gooner side of
mhm.
it from that, but it is actually a solid game. I also kind of knew this was celebrated right away. I actually thought that the lead character in this game was one of the side characters in Stellar Blade.
Yeah,
The mod
The Raven character. That's like your one of your
your
side
side,
characters.
yeah,
Mhm.
they look pretty identical. But yeah, I mean, I guess if I had finished Stellar Blade, I probably would maybe had this ranked higher. It was definitely great to see more from that studio. I think it's interesting that they were able to make enough money off of Stellar Blade to be able to self-publish this one, which is really good to see. You'll love to see that. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, full
I thought it was
multiplayer.
pretty cool.
Yeah, and full multiplayer release, despite the fact that the original is still not coming to Xbox, but it's gonna show up on Switch. So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
still that sounds that
yeah,
to me that just sounds like Sony's like, nope, I don't
yeah,
care.
because they did publish that first one. The second one is the one that's becoming self-published. So
Yeah, yeah, it's anyways. No, that's a great a great number. What was that 7?
mhm.
8? I
Yeah,
can't
that was my
remember.
number 8. So now we move to 7.
All right. Number 7 for me is another game from Day of the Devs. This game is called Tenebris Somnia, I believe. It's Italian. I don't know if I'm saying that
Yeah,
correctly.
Tenebrae Somnia. That game was at Summer Games Fest, and I think Ray saw that game. So, but yeah,
That makes sense that
talk
Ray
about it.
would have gravitated towards this one. So,
Mhm,
this is a survival horror game crossover with a giallo style horror film, live action, kind of like Quantum
mhm,
Break. But the survival horror aspect is similar to Faith the Unholy Trilogy, which, if you haven't played that game, it's actually insanely good. It has an extremely a dedicated cult following. It's an 8-bit horror game. And you might be saying to yourself, there's no way that an 8-bit game can be scary. Well, you're absolutely wrong. It uses this is not necessarily Somnia, but in Faith they use rotoscoped animations with 8-bit visuals, which is crazy for their cutscenes, and it's just really weird. And this kind of has a similar vibe, but it's more 16-bit. But it's such a crazy. If you just watch the trailer, you can see it. It's such a crazy uh like split between the game, which seems to function similar to like a maybe like Clock Tower or like a really old survival horror game, not even quite Resident Evil yet, maybe like Alone in the
mhm,
Dark with Super Nintendo esque 8-bit or 16-bit graphics. But then the cutscenes are all live action horror films with a real horror director, real practical horror effects, body horror, like blood and guts. And it just, if you're a horror fan, this even if it doesn't shape up to be the greatest game of all time, just the concept alone is worth checking out, at least the trailer. But it does have some weight behind it as well. It's got picked up by New Blood Interactive. They are a really good publisher of indie games. You've probably seen them in the PC Game Show a while back. You'll recognize the guy that owns it. He's really funny. But yeah, I again, this game actually has a demo available on Next Fest, I believe. So I have it installed. I didn't get to it yet, but it's definitely one I'm going to be checking out.
yeah, it's like I heard a lot of positive things from the people that saw it. The director, which is a film director, was there, so like,
Yeah,
like a lot of people were able to kind of like have some interesting conversations with him, and it's just it's so unique seeing like the stark difference between its live action like visuals and seeing its that 2D pixel art. It's like it's so like it's so funny. More people don't do that. It's like it's such an interesting way to give you a better mental image of how that would actually look like, and then when you transition over to pixel art, it's like you kind of your mental association can kind of see how that's been shrunk down. And I feel that's such a smart way to do game development. So that's coming out on October 16th. So that's brilliant. That's not on my list, but it's certainly one of the things that we had the chance to see in the season gaming side of things. So
Yeah, and the just for the record, the reason why I was talking about Faith so much is they're executive producing this game, so there is a connection there. Faith actually, I think, just launched on consoles recently, and it's usually super cheap.
mhm.
So if you wanna have a very unique experience playing an NES style horror game that's actually scary, I would recommend that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that's number 7 for me.
number 7 for me is Resident Evil Veronica, which was the game that opened the showcase. Obviously, Resident Evil is firing on all cylinders right now, and why this one is kind of higher in my list is thanks to the Q&A that I got to sit with REIC Ains over at Summer Games Fest. They did a show, unlike last year with Requiem, that they actually played a demo that they didn't show almost anyone, like unless the people that were there at SGF until like much later, which is the initial like part where you're dodging the big monster Emily in like in the asylum.
Yeah,
This time it was just mostly the Q&A with the producer and just learning some of the things makes me excited. So obviously like this game has been made by the Resident Evil 2 and 4
remake.
team. So
Yeah,
the remake team. And they made a big point of saying that in Resident Evil history, their biggest regret was naming Code Veronica, because there's a so much important lore in this game, probably some of the most important lore for the entirety of Resident Evil, that a lot of people just didn't know because it was called Code Veronica. It gave spin-off like
yeah, I never
unimportant
played it.
spin-off vibes. So a lot of people didn't, and they made a point of like showing like a timeline of where this is supposed to be set up. And Code Veronica is happening concurrently with Resident Evil 4, like what's happening with Leon. Like Leon and Clara and 2, they kind of split on their own ways, and Code Veronica is kind of like happening within that. And obviously, like for people that played the original Resident Evil with Chris and Jill and Wesker, it's like this is like the very important connecting tissue that leads you to Resident Evil 5. Steven Totillo from GameFile was in my Q&A session. He made a very funny observation that the fact that this is not just called Veronica, the synonyms is REV, and they asked the producer, "Is this supposed to be like the new Resident Evil 5?" Because V is like 5.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the producer just laughed. He was like, "It's an interesting observation, but we just want to make sure to know that Resident Evil 5 is still its own thing." So that's kind of like winking that that's gonna get the remake treatment anytime, like sometime.
Nice.
But how they're trying to make this more important is just the fact that them calling it Veronica is keeping it in line with how they're naming the new Resident Evil. So Biohazard, Village, Requiem, kind of like that one subtitle
Yeah.
that eliminates numbers but shows you that it's very important. And they are very excited to get a lot of the things that they've learned throughout like everything that we've gotten from Resident Evil into like this new one, and finally getting the most important lore piece of Resident Evil now available in a modern audience in a modern way. Because try to go to Code Veronica on the 360 backwards compat version or the PS4 version that's basically the PS2 port. It's rough, people. It's really rough. So it's a hard one to go back to. And for such important stuff, and seeing how excited they are that this piece of the puzzle is gonna finally be filled, made me more excited for it. Beyond it being another Resident Evil, a series that's just killing it. So,
Yeah, speaking of that port, I actually did boot that up after Summer Games Fest because I'd never played that one.
mhm,
It
mhm.
was originally, I believe, on Dreamcast.
Yeah,
I didn't have a Dreamcast. I think there was probably a PS2 maybe version.
they ported to PS. They ported to PS2 and GameCube. Code Veronica X. That's how it was
Yeah,
called.
so I didn't have any of I had Xbox. I actually like near the end of the 360, uh, there was like a random unopened copy of Resident Evil 6 Archives Edition.
Hmm. That
which
had Code Veronica in it, right?
had Code Veronica in it. So I owned a
Hmm.
digital copy of it, and because it's back compat, it's like technically in my library. So I did boot it up. I mean, it's the tank controls, so if that might scare some people off. I didn't get super far into it. There's no one named Veronica that I can tell.
Yeah,
I don't know what that name means yet, but
it's part of the story. Let's just put it that
okay,
way to keep it
yeah.
spoiler free. So,
So the what okay, so just circle back a little bit. I actually have this as my number 5. I was really excited
hmm,
to see this. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. Requiem so far is still my game of the year, but I haven't finished First Light
hmm,
yet. Um, what I can tell from what I've played of Code Veronica X and what they showed in this reveal trailer, it doesn't strike me as I don't know how what's happening in my current playthrough of the game. I can't imagine how it gets to old lady
I have heard
apartment
it.
building. So,
Uh,
eh, you don't have to explain what happens there or spoil anything, but what they show in this reveal make sense for, like, what happens in the game?
Ains played Code Veronica, and he immediately clocked in that it was Code Veronica as soon as it started. So it's out of order sequencing of what they're doing. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
But it's like that grandma thing that shit that was at Summer Games Fest is an important part from like the original at some point. Whatever.
Okay.
I
Okay.
haven't. I only played the beginning of Code Veronica. I've only read because I was like, I was always hoping they were gonna remake it. So I was like, I don't know. I don't think I want to submit myself to this one because unlike the Resident Evil One remake that got a lot of cool quality of life, Code Veronica didn't. It was more kind of like a straight port, so it's rougher to go back.
Yeah.
So that's
So
kind
you're
of why I
probably
want to
just as
get a
far
little
as
bit more
me,
fresh.
and you
Uh huh.
understand why I'm confused based on what
Yeah.
happens in the first
What
hour
they
or so
showed.
of that, and I don't understand how you get there, but anyways, no, that's my number 5. Again, super huge Resident Evil fan. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, so
if they had shown the gameplay, if they had shown us gameplay like they did Requiem last year, it would have probably booted it up higher. But it's a they didn't have it wasn't ready, so that
yeah,
they
for
show
me,
that
the
much
reason
later.
why it's higher for me is just because I knew that this was in the works just based on leaks
Hmm.
and stuff. I didn't think it was getting shown. I didn't think it was this close. Um, I didn't expect it to be the opener, and because I had no idea what
Hmm.
this grandma thing was, I didn't even I was like, why does this? I could tell immediately. This is actually interesting. I could tell immediately that it was a Capcom game,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
because I can recognize the engine and their art style, and
It's
I
the
felt like
hair.
it,
It's
yeah,
the hair and the textures on the floor that it's a big tell, and how the hand grabs and turns something like that
yeah,
hand animation. The particular it was like that's straight up RE7. Like when
yes.
he was in the kitchen, it's like that animation is like so reused that you can tell it's RE.
So what I understood of Code Veronica obviously is wrong. I thought that this could have been like Requiem DLC or something like that, and then when it was actually
Mhm.
Veronica, yeah. So it was surprising to me. That's why I have it a little bit higher.
Yeah. And they confirmed that no first person in this one. This is a third person game. And the first
Interesting.
person thing that we saw was just kind of like yeah, that was just meant for that specific sequence. And other RE games have sometimes gone to first person specific places just for mood setting. Like RE3 remake did that, but this is a mostly third person game, and there's not gonna be like a switch up like Requiem.
Yeah,
And we asked them if they were thinking about that, and they were like, how we like are designing it is how we design 2 and 4. So
that's good. I mean,
mhm,
I think that first person is probably more frightening, but I
mhm,
actually played Requiem in third person because they put a lot of effort into the animations. I
yeah,
remember I played through that sequence that they demoed for you. Like, it's very early
mhm.
on in Requiem. You're put in a place and there's a monster. You have to sneak around it, whatever. Um,
It's harder in third person because of the extra like having the character actually render and the character kind of like stumbling around like
well,
that doesn't happen in first person.
that's what I was gonna
So
say, yeah, so I played it in first person, and then I played it again in third person, and in third person, like, there's parts of it where it's mandatory that you're gonna get chased, and, like, she's stumbling and falling, and it's, like, more tense, and it just was such a it felt better, it felt like they put more effort into that, so I actually ended up playing the whole and, like Leon, you had to play in third person, it's so fun, dude,
yeah.
yeah, so I probably, if I was given the option, I probably would have picked third person anyway, so, that works out.
I think a lot of people prefer third person in general, so it's like Requiem is just trying to like please both sides. That was a very
Yeah,
let's try to please everyone because we're celebrating RE. So
I feel like Village gave me the option I preferred first, and 7, I would never wanna play that in third person.
mhm,
But
yeah,
yeah, Requiem, yeah, I think it depends. If they put the effort into making the first person animations of stumbling and stuff, although maybe that would be bad for people with motion sickness, I don't know. But yeah, no, I had that at number 5.
right. What's your number six?
Number 6, speaking of people not liking Wolverine for some reason, that's my number 6 because I thought it was awesome. Um,
Yeah.
my biggest question mark for Wolverine the entire time since they revealed it, which was a long time ago, was how the hell are you going to create an open world action adventure game where you play as a guy who hates everybody and doesn't really go outside? Like, I
Mhm,
just I couldn't understand how that those two things would mix together, and apparently they don't mix together because they decided to make an Uncharted style game as Wolverine,
mhm.
which is such a
Good choice.
refreshing, like, choice.
Mhm.
It's such a good choice, and so I was actually super impressed. There's some people who are like, "Oh, there's too much blood." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Like, go watch Logan. Like, the dude
Yeah.
has freaking adamantium claws, man. What do you expect's gonna happen when he slices you
Go
with that?
play X Men Origins Wolverine on Caged Edition on 360 and PS3. That
Yeah,
thing
dude,
was a
that game
savage.
friggin' rules. I have that right now,
Yeah.
and
Uh,
I was playing it, not too long ago on 360. Um, yeah, I love Wolverine. I love superheroes. I love Marvel. I love Insomniac. I love Uncharted. It's just like everything that I love mixed into one. I really, it's a double edged sword. I feel like they're kind of doing what they did with Spider Man, where they're showing too much, but at the same time, I was excited to see some of the X Men show up and some other mutants that don't that are obviously going to be in the game. Um, I know. I mean, it's obvious Sabretooth's going to be in there, but they didn't have to show him. Like I just feel like I don't know. I love Spider-Man a lot. I think the worst thing that about that game is the trailer that they released that shows every villain breaking out of the
Everything.
prison.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean,
Mhm.
slight spoilers. That's like like
Three
a
fourths
key
into the
part
game.
of like the ending of the game. Like that's like a big
Mhm,
climactic part of the last chapter. Let's just say, and they
mhm.
showed it in a trailer before the game came out. And I'm
It
worried
was the
that they
transition. Yeah, it was the transition into the final act. So they showed us so much of that game
Yeah, and
before
it
it
would have
came
been
out.
such an awesome surprise, be like, "Oh my god, Scorpion, oh my god," like,
Mhm.
but anyways, they didn't do that as much with Spider-Man 2, and I'm hoping that they don't show too much more of Wolverine. Obviously, I can just not watch it, but I know I can't not watch. I have
You're
no
weak. Yeah,
self-control.
there's a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Same.
Yeah, so I hope they
Yeah.
do it for me. Obviously, they're gonna have a launch trailer or stuff like that. I honestly probably would have had this a little slightly higher if they actually had a collector's edition. That's my biggest pet peeve and my biggest
Hmm. Yeah.
gripe with them. It makes 0 sense. It's literally free money. Like,
Th- this one would have been a number 10 for me, and Magician Game kind of like knocked it. If we had done like a top 15, I would have slotted there like in the bottom because I still like I am going to play it like because I like superhero stuff, and the fact that it's the X-Men have not been as served as much as like Spider-Man have, even though like this week the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer came out and it actually looked
amazing.
really sick. I
Yeah.
was like, it looks like an actual film
Yeah.
with color correct with actual color grading. I'm like, thank God that Tom Holland did that movie with Nolan because apparently he brought a lot of that energy into. We are making sure that this movie looks like a movie. We're not doing like all the CGI stuff that and green screen stuff that was all over No Way Home that you can see now. If you watch that in like 4K Blu-ray and all that, that movie looks ugly because it was filmed in COVID. So it was like you can see how they were like overimposing a bunch of stuff. Props to them that they got it out like how they did with all those like filming like with filming restrictions and all that. But it's like there's it just hits different when you see something like so well produced. I would say that I don't think the section they showed of the game was probably the best section to show it because the trailer from last year's State of Play that re-revealed the game showed such a variety of locales and all that make that game look so awesome that I feel like it was probably it felt like what they showed was a little too bland. And I don't know if you saw there were people like comparing the visuals with from Wolverine and Gears of War E Day, and it's like It's like EA
Yeah.
looks. It's like you just. I
It's
know
not a fair
I've seen other parts
comparison.
of that game. It's not a fair comparison there, but I also have seen that the Wolverine game look much better than what we saw in most of that section until the motorcycle part where there's more snow. I was like, yeah, this started looking much better, but kind of like that industrial, like overly lit, bland place was like this doesn't look as impressive as I know Insomniac's engine can be. Like Spider-Man 2 is a really great looking game. Especially like the Pro version with PSSR 2 is like really beautiful. And even on base PS5, that thing looked really great at launch.
Yeah.
Bugs aside, like in the version that I played. But that's kind of like that's what's so interesting because it's I like what I saw, but it's interesting how this was the game that in the deluge of games that we saw like during that entire week, this seemed to be like the one that people were like, yeah, it's all right. I don't know about that. I guess so. It had a lot of that, and I found that really interesting. I wonder if the tone will change if they actually go hands on. Maybe the moment that they get controller in hand, that's gonna like bring the excitement back. Because I know, like for example, Ains. We were talking about Ains. Like he said, like it looks like Spider Man. I'm like, I play the
I don't
Spider-Man
understand that.
games. They don't. I don't understand how you could say it does. Like that's just commentary out of ignorance. I would. Sorry, is it to me that's just commentary of ignorance if you have not actually played? It's like it's actually looks gameplay wise is different from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I do know that that's probably like why I always say the big weakness right now in the Sony first party stable, that because they have gone so all in on the third person over the shoulder like narrative based games that from first glance people think they're all the same, but it's when you actually play them you see that there's kind of like nuances to how they are different from each other. But I also don't blame people that just see like from that they only see like from the surface and don't see things. Kind of like Hogue over there in the Bitcast, but he was saying that
Oh my
he thought
god.
E-Day was like E-Day looks so dated that it looks the same. I'm like, man, it's like if you actually like I'm currently playing through Reloaded. I kind of got the itch, and I'm like, those games are so rigid and you see how fluid like you're noticing it's like it's small stuff, but it's like they're finally like unclenching the butt out of these characters to be like more nimble in how they're moving. And I feel that's gonna like change the dynamic and what's always been a very rigid, not bad, it's just rigid. They've always been more stiffer, chunkier, really great playing third person shooters, but they were very like chunky and stiff. And you see how they're like trying to make it more like they're trying to make it more like nimble. And I feel this is the kind of thing that once you're finally playing you start seeing that, but I feel that's always going to be like a problem when you only see stuff instead of playing. Like there's more to games than just how they look and what the camera is. But I do feel that's going to be a problem that is going to pursue Sony if they don't like try to like diversify their portfolio a little bit more based on their camera placement.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. But I'm still excited to play it. It's just I felt more other stuff from SGF were more exciting for me personally. But I don't understand the negativity myself.
Yeah,
Though I would say that they probably had a better stuff to show than what they showed. I would say.
yeah, I mean, the negative like, the the Hogue and Gears of War stuff, I mean, I think that people have, like, preconceived notions of certain franchises, and it colors, like, their perception of it, because like,
Mm-hmm.
he would also go on to say that, like, Xenoblade looks so good and looks fantastic, and there I could show you a screenshot of the 3 Xenoblades, and you'd probably have a hard time figuring out which one's which. They are literally the same
Uh huh.
thing, and the new one looks exactly the same as well,
Mm-hmm.
but but yeah, it's just you like what you like, and there's nothing wrong with that. I
Mm-hmm.
think probably the negativity stems from the fact that this was revealed so long ago. If they
Yeah.
just revealed this, if no one knew Wolverine was coming, or it was just a rumor and we
Yeah.
didn't see it already, and they dropped this, I don't think the reception would have been the same. I mean,
Yeah.
there's all
This
there's
strikes. Yeah, this strikes me as this should have been 2024. Like how I see it, this should have been like a 2024 game.
yeah.
So the fact it's come 5 years later, I feel that colors it because it feels like I just kind of want to get done with this because it's been like it was in the second to last showcase they ever did for PlayStation this generation. That's when they revealed this thing at the same time as Spider-Man 2. So that's how long ago it was. So
Yeah. Hopefully Intergalactic is not 5 years out.
yeah,
Hopefully they
I
like
hope so. I hope not.
learned their lesson there. But what was your number
Yes.
6?
Uh, to me, to be kind of like a slight hypocrite, but it's just because this is being made by former PlayStation guys, but they did like their own team working, but working on kind of tarnished name, unfortunately. Let's just put it that way. Crossfire. We finally know that's no moon that studio has been like working on over the past few years. I knew that that team had been like gathering a lot of interesting talent from like all the studios. I just didn't know what it was like what exactly what they were working on. But what I love the most about like Crossfire, it's like there's just such attention to detail how they like animated that thing with like how it's like doing cover and this like weird amalgamation of like a military shooter with like sci-fi elements that makes it seem so engrossing. It's a co-op game that's not co-op, so it's kind of like because like in the typical Naughty Dog fashion of like interaction between two characters and kind of dynamic AI, like how they interact, you see that, and it's like you can definitely tell the kind of talent that worked on this thing. It looked really beautiful. I'm very intrigued with that mix of that military slash sci-fi like combo, and yeah, excited to play it. So I thought this looked really cool. So
I really like the pedigree of that studio. I think that like you said, the name Crossfire is tarnished. I thought that
thanks,
this was
Remedy.
just a coincidence, but it's actually not. Like I'm pretty sure
No,
Smilegate's a backer of the studio, so it is
they're
part
the
of that.
publisher there. It showed there in the credits.
Yeah, so
So
they're a it's part of that connected universe, which is in shambles, in my opinion. The Remedy game in Crossfire also looked really cool in a trailer, but it was awful. And Remedy's historic studio, like legendary studio,
yeah.
and they couldn't even make it work with this franchise and this publisher. So I'm hopeful that the talent's definitely there. The gameplay demo, there was some jank, I think, to it, but it
Mhm.
did also look really, really good. It definitely feels like there's more behind this than what Remedy got in terms of like scope and budget and stuff like that. And yeah, no, I thought it was interesting. I was kind of I had heard of That's No Moon. It was probably known that they were working with Smilegate, but I didn't know that. So
Mhm.
the reason why it's lower for me is because that's a big red flag and it's a big gut punch because of what my expectations were for this. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it's going to be bad, and they can absolutely prove me wrong. But
Yeah, I'm hopeful, especially like I want to keep the hope alive that this talent that used to work at Naughty that can like do great stuff. And I would say that some of the stuff that they worked, like the Call of Duty games that these two guys worked on, Infinite Warfare and Modern Warfare 2019, were pretty good.
oh yeah,
Like what they did campaign wise is I feel they do have a nice eye for quality, and I'm hoping that if this can be the thing that finally like untarnishes the Crossfire the Crossfire name after what happened to the last Crossfire game in 2022, which is from like what I understand, like Remedy only did the campaign for that because they were kind of like still looking for like backers before they got with Epic that funded them, and also 505, which are the ones that were able to fund all their ambitions for Control, like
Alan
Alan
Wake.
Wake and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
They were just like mercenaries. They just were the ultimate mercenaries. They'd be like, we got to work on something. So they briefly worked on that, and unfortunately, because that's a big tarnish. Like they had such a great quality pedigree, and then there's that as like the one big like negative spot in the record. So,
yeah.
but
I
yeah, so
remember when
yeah,
that was
Crossfire is my number
revealed and
six.
Phil Spencer was like at E3, he's like, Crossfire X, played by
Uh
millions and millions of people in Korea. And then
yes,
just like,
in
whoa, cool.
2019, I remember.
Yeah. Crossfire
Yeah.
X exclusively on it. It was so okay.
Mhm,
Um, yeah. So my 5 and 4 were already said.
mhm.
It was Veronica and Last Ronin. So you can just
Mhm.
rattle
Yeah,
yours
I can.
off.
Yes. My number five is Stuntman Hollywood, which is the was one of the few surprises of the state of play. Why it's so high, I played it. And this was probably the most fun demo that I played at Summer Games Fest. It's so pure stuntman. It has brought back the snappy arcade, like not like easy to learn, difficult to master, like rinse and repeat like all these levels until you like perfectly like nail like what's expected from you, like when you're doing specific tricks and things like that. And the extra flavors they added, because obviously it's called Stuntman Hollywood, and this is being done in partnership with Universal. Like I got to play the Back to the Future and the Earthquake levels, and the Back to the Future level had me with such a smile on my face because it was the Libyan scenes from the first Back to the Future when Marty McFly is escaping from the Libyans that want to kill them after they kill Doc Brown. So it's doing all that. So you have to kind of start with doing like a nail a 180 turn and try to like speed at 88 miles per hour. Have to do like crossing and all that. It's like it controls so well, and it has such nice presentational flourishes. And hearing that they're trying to make this game like a complete single package that is just gonna be like repeatable and just fun, like that's why it's so high on my list. This has like the advantage that I went hands on with that, and like I mentioned, like having like legit like surprises weights a lot to like on me for the show because whether it's third party stuff or first party and Stuntman, I think the last one was Stuntman Ignition like in 360 back in
Yeah.
like 2006. So it's like it was like that was such a holy crap. They brought back Stuntman. That's insane. Like shout out to Saber Interactive for this one. And then my number four, it's also something that I played that I would say is the best game that I played, like at SGF,
Can I guess?
that we were able to.
Because
Yes.
I could be way off, but I from what I've heard from people that I know that were there, the two best demos in terms of like the level of polish and how good they
Mhm.
were was Stuntman and Clutch.
Couldn't play Clutch, but a lot of people play
Okay,
Clutch.
so I was way off. Carry
Uh,
on.
but no, but a lot of people did love Clutch, and this is they've been chomping at the bit to talk about Clutch.
Yeah.
It's um, my number four was Alien Isolation 2. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, I was obviously Alien Isolation 2. We learned that they were working on it in the anniversary of Alien Isolation 1 in 2014. And then they did like a brief teaser that people didn't know if it was indicative of the game and all that. So it was a big surprise that they came out with like a very good, like a very big look at the game at Summer Games Fest and that it was playable. Like it was a 30-minute demo that I got to see.
Wow.
It was the it was the most polished demo that I played personally. That if you told me that this thing was coming out in 2 months, I would believe you. That's how polished that thing was, and it seems like everything that people loved about Alien Isolation One, it's still intact. The alien, the super smart alien, the incredible production values, like some of the most perfect like representation of a property, it's there, and I was so they record they like the demonstration has cameras, so they were recording like the reactions for the people that were playing. They got like the alien got me in one big surprise because it's gonna turn like if you thought you had strategies to evade the alien on the first game, they made the alien more intelligent, so those strategies are gonna be like flipped on your head that way. And I found that so frustrating in a good way because I was like, God damn it. They like I thought I was safe doing this, and here's this fucker here. And they tweaked a few things where like you can repair stuff within the environment that uses the scrap that you collect. That is how you use certain. You could like craft certain tools that could help you with the alien, like noise makers and things like that. And now you can repair certain things that can help you with the level, but then that means that you're trading off something that could help you later for like an easier thing. I use that thing. Many people didn't repair that door that I repaired, and not many were able to finish the demo because of that, because they got stuck like with intelligent alien. But I did it. So it was like it's gonna be very interesting when people play this, and it seems that there's got to be more dynamic how you resolve how you're evading this alien. And I'm very interested to see how the dynamic of now not being in a space station, but it's like you're now down on a planet, going from like out in the open and into certain labs. I know a lot of people are kind of like concerned that being out in the open is not gonna create that claustrophobia that was so perfect in Alien Isolation 1. But in what I played of that demo, like being outside was more the mood building. Like look at like this dark planet, look at this visual. It's like Alien Isolation is just such a immaculate presentation. There's such a sumptuousness to this presentation that has remained intact almost 12 years later from that original one. And if you like the first one, it seems like they have not lost the step with the second one. I do wonder they're gonna like resolve some of the pain points of the original one, which was like sections of the game that you engage in unnecessary combat against robots, and
The Working Joes?
it's
You
a
don't like
little
the Working Joes? Isn't that what they're
the robots.
called? They were
The
creepy,
robots.
man. Aren't they? Is that they're
it,
called Working Joes, right? Am I not making that up?
I think there was. It's like that game is at its best when it's you and the alien and you're evading the alien. And then when it became a third person shooter, I don't think it was that great of a third person shooter, but uh, I'm hopeful that they understand what their strengths are. And I wonder if they're gonna make it a 20-hour game, because that was also a sticking point for a lot of people, that that game was a little longer than it needed to be. What's so funny is that this demo connected to the midway point of the original game that a lot of people felt was the first ending of the game before it kept going. And it's funny, it'd be like, hey, I remember I'm in this part where I did this with this alien. It's interesting, even though you're not playing as the same main character. You're not playing as Amanda Ripley. You're playing as someone different. So I'm very curious for this one, but it's so impressive. I first played through Alien Isolation One all on stream last October for the first time. I
Oh,
played it
really?
briefly before, but it was my first time doing like beginning to end stream, and I streamed it all, and it was such a great experience. That's such a great stream game, and like it's scary. That alien really like it's such a marvel in kind of like in adaptive AI, that now knowing that they've worked to make it even more intelligent is gonna be really impressive. They're already improved on perfection in the specific parts. That's why it's my number four, based on like it had a cool trailer at SGF and it was an awesome demo. So
So I had that on my list actually. That's number 2.
yes.
I am a fucking massive fan of Alien or Isolation. I think
Hmm.
it goes toe to toe with RE4 as my favorite horror game in history. I
It's
got
one
it.
of the greatest horror games. I could agree.
Yes. I got it on day 1 on Xbox One. I played the pristine edition where you have the Kinect camera and the alien can hear you, and yeah, I have 0 qualms with that game. I wish it was longer. I love everything about it. Huge fan of the franchise, like Alien in general. Um, I think that if you would have played that in 2014 or whenever it came out, and when you don't like every experience that you've had since then, and every evolution in how games are designed and how visuals look, and you're playing it against what you've seen before, but when you're playing it and like when it's fresh and new, it is like peak. Like it was like one of the best looking games I ever seen. It was one of the scariest games I ever played. It was perfectly uh perfectly done in terms of the like aesthetics and the trueness to the look and feel of what aliens should be, even like as the little things like that little dipper duck, like everything was perfect, the interiors were it was just a perfect game, unless you're IGN, then it was a 5.9. But I
Exactly.
I I love that game so much. I was so hyped that they revealed that they're making it again, and I for some reason, maybe it was reported that, this was coming, I don't know, but I missed it, and I was expecting, like, years before I would see it again. I thought they were announcing
Mhm.
that they're going to do it, but to
Yeah.
find out that it is far along enough to have one of the most polished demos of all of SGF was just so hype for me. I can't explain how much I love Alien Isolation. I think
Yeah.
it's a perfect horror game.
It is, and the fact that I played it for the first time in 2025, and I found myself thinking that, even with some of its problems, is like it just goes to show how really great its great parts are, and that has remained, and that's it's the reason why it's become a classic, like over time, like one of those like one of the few 2014 games that people still talk about. 2014 is not considered a great gaming year, but
Destiny.
that game came out there, and Destiny is one of the few that it was like you could kind of like in less than one hand games that are still like talked about in high regard there. Like
Yeah.
obviously Destiny's for us, but Alien Isolation is the other one that, especially like in his reputation, that a lot of people like really like took the gospel of that IGN review, even though that was like the lowest score in a sea of like high scores everywhere
Yeah.
else. And then a lot of people actually like visiting and everyone be like, how was this score this low? Like, and they're even making it funny that now they have other people doing coverage at IGN and they keep referring, like they're doing kind of like the counter, like the
Yeah.
counter coverage to be like, it was his opinion, but this is my opinion too, and I kind of want to like do this thing. So it's like it's been really cool seeing how that's the perfect example of a game that it's prestige. Like if many people didn't get it initially, more people are getting it over time, and it feels that there's more appreciation for that kind of style of horror a decade later than it was back in 2014. It's really interesting. Like like how that has evolved, and I'm glad that now the sequel is coming out at the peak of everyone having such the best memories of that original, and it's shaping out really well. So that's
Yeah.
why it's high up there for me.
I think IGN actually killed God Hand as well, another game that you brought up with the horrible review.
3 out of 10.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's not even like at least with Ryan's review, even though I disagree with him in Alien, like he explains
Mhm,
why and like that's his opinion. The God Hand review was absolutely pathetic. I don't know who reviewed it. They shouldn't be reviewing games. But that was also in a different era when it was about trying to
yeah.
be edgy and funny and not actually about being a proper like journalist or critic.
Yeah. Mhm,
It was actually absolutely a pathetic review and it should be erased. But yeah, it completely killed the game. Anyways, I think I'm up next. You said
mhm,
Alien was your fourth, right?
mm, yeah. Mhm,
Okay, it's my second. So my third game, um, I actually probably might have flipped this with Alien if I was counting what came out after the showcase. But three for me is Fable.
mhm,
I was very unsure of like what the tone was going to be if it was just going to be super goofy the whole time. So I think
mhm,
revealing the villain was very smart. The game looks just like unbelievable. What really like hooked me with the trailer though was they finally
mhm.
kind of revealed the real score
Connection
of the
to the
game.
original.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the end. That's this what that's
Uh-huh.
coming. But what really hooked me with this trailer in particular, like earlier on in the trailer, was they revealed the actual score of the game. And I don't think you can have a really good RPG, especially a fantasy RPG, without a very good score. And when the music kicks in this trailer, it's just like, okay, we are cooking now. And after the showcase, when they gave that 30-minute like long form gameplay demo, this game
Mhm.
is absolutely insane. Like obviously that's still a vertical slice and they had to like stretch that out over a long RPG, but I think Fable's shaping up to be really good. And then yes, the
I
stinger at the end was surprising.
Yeah. I understand why they did the dev direct for Gears, but I would have preferred if the dev direct was Fable, because it was like finally seeing a 30 uncut minute. Like, I love when games can, when you can see a big chunk of the game that way, and such a missed opportunity. Because I tell you, when I saw the Fable trailer, because we saw it at a big screen at SGF, like Fable looked incredible. Like so many games look incredible, seeing it like blown up in such a huge screen, and in particular like the facial animations in Fable, and like and what you saw in that specific trailer that showed the release date was so cool looking. I would have loved to have seen the 30-minute like chunk that they released a couple days later in a bigger screen too. To me personally, because I feel like I am more excited for Fable than I do Gears, not because I'm not a Gears fan, but it's because Fable's been gone for so long, and I know what I'm getting out of Gears. It's gonna be a more refined, like meteor Gears of War, whereas Fable is like from Playground, or like from Playground, uh from like their first like non-racing game, like, and they're trying to bring that great pedigree to to an RPG that has been dormant since for 16 years at this point. I think because Fable 3 was like 2010. Do we count the Kinect game? Was it, what was the Kinect game called?
Fable
Legends?
no, Legends was like
No,
the
no, the
4v1.
canceled one. Yeah, the canceled
I
one.
own it. I own it. It's upstairs.
Really?
Fable, a sealed
Yeah,
copy.
it's still a copy of
Yeah.
the Kinect game.
I can't remember what it was
Yeah,
called actually. I never actually played it, but I bought it because it was Fable
yeah,
and it was like a clearance thing and it was sealed. Um,
yeah.
yeah, Fable Connect Adventures. Yeah, and
Mhm,
then the
yeah.
4v1 Legends was canceled. I think there was a pub game or no, that was two. That was like an Xbox arcade game. I thought there was something else like a I feel like Lionhead split off and did something after Legends was canceled. I don't even think it was Fable though. It was like some trading card game. I can't
Yeah.
remember. But anyways, yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked what I saw that trailer. Why Fable is not in my top 10 is just more kind of like in the, because it's one of those games that to me I've been like seeing for so long. We've known for so long now that it's like I'm more in that, just come out now, please. I just want to play you. I just want to play you. So it's why like it would have made a somewhere in the 11 to 15 list if I, because that's where I would also slot Gears E Day, kind of like in that. I was like, I like what I saw of those games. I was just more excited with what I saw of somewhere else, but I understand why it's high up there. It look, especially that 30-minute thing, seal it for me for someone being like more
Yeah,
excited for Fable, because like it looked much better than the state the game was in the Dev Direct from January that had a couple rough like frame rate patches that I was like, it still needs some to be
polish.
cleaned up if it's still to yeah polish, but it seems like it's getting there.
I'd
So
still like to see, not doesn't have to be 30 minutes, but some sort of like combat uh stuff.
mhm,
There's lots of time to show that, but I'd like to see like a boss fight or something. But no, I think it's looking awesome, and I love the score that they put together, and the fact that it's going to be connected in some way to the original and not just like a full reboot, at least with you know who coming back.
uh-huh.
Really cool. But yeah, so Alien Isolation was my two. So I guess
Mhm.
what's your three and two?
My three was God of War Law of Fae, so I can
Right.
move to number two because I am a big fan of Shadow of the Colossus. My number two is Jan Atlas. Like that was pains me knowing that they were there at SGF and I couldn't get in to like a behind closed doors demo that they were showing, but I got to speak with two of the IGN guys, Simon Cardy and Michael Hyam. They got to see that game and hearing what they saw, I'm like, man, as someone that loves Shadow of the Colossus, but hearing that they're gamifying that in a robot like desolate, like grand, like grandiosity, it feels like so cool because the idea of like I love Darren Giant. I love kind of like that idea, but I also love kind of like the that feeling of desolation that is so part of Fumito Ueda's work. And seeing that now, like seeing kind of those two things mixed together as one, it's like it's like it's so triple I indie, kind of like I see, like you see, because it's kind of like the energy you see out of the indie scene, but with such kind of like artistic high quality vision that seeing that second trailer, it finally getting a name beyond just being Project Robot.
Yeah.
It's like I am so excited to see like what this game can be because this is the kind of game that speaks to me, kind of like the more like something so esoteric, and that's always been for me to Ueda stuff. And I got to shake hands with Ueda himself, like when we're like at the mixer at the end of SGF, where we're like just getting drinks and all that. I hate that I didn't take a pic. I couldn't take a picture with him because like it's like, man, I played your games like for forever. Like Shadow of the Colossus is in my top 10. I love your games. So it's like it's like such a cool such a cool original idea with a lot of familiarity and into things that just speak to me in my specific quirks as a gamer. So Jan
Yeah.
Atlas number two. Uh, this was Skill Up's favorite game that he saw at the show. I got to speak with Skill Up at the bathroom, ironically.
Amazing.
He was, yeah. So we really talked about that. So yeah, he
That's
saw it.
funny.
So
Uh
mhm.
I thought it looked cool. I also really like Shadow of the Colossus. I didn't really play Last Guardian or Eco that
It's
much.
rougher. Yeah, Last Guardian is like I would say Shadow of the Colossus is his best game to me personally.
Yeah, and I really liked the Blue Point version of it better than like obviously the PS2 version. I thought
Hmm.
that this also looked a bit janky, just like you were talking about how Fable did early on. Obviously, there's a lot of
Hmm.
time left for it to cook. But that being said, all his games tend to be pretty janky. That's kind of like why I like
Hmm.
the Blue Point version, the remake so much because it was so clean and perfect. Like that makes no sense that Blue Point's not still doing stuff like that, but that's another
Yeah.
discussion. Um, but no, it definitely was cool. A guy at my office I know is a huge Awada fan, and he was gushing about this as well. Um, it was a good get, I think, for Keeley for
It's been
sure.
10 it's been 10 years since Last Guardians. It's like his games like take that
It
like
sounds like
it
he's right on
takes a long
schedule though,
time.
because how far
Yeah,
away was Last Guardian from Shadows?
like
14
almost
years?
10 years
Yeah,
almost, yeah,
yeah,
10 years because came out late 2005. He took the break and then he started development in 2006, so it
yeah,
took like 10 years to make. So it's a funny,
yeah,
it's like he's a once in a decade a tour. And it's funny you mentioned the janky. I kind of appreciate the jankiness because it's like there's just something so honest about like the gaminess of this thing that you know that they're not like they don't have the pristine that you expect from like from high quality, but it's like it's made up by the artistry. And that's
yeah,
kind of like what I love. And I do love that the indie scene has mostly taken a lot of cues from a lot of his work because he was one of those pioneers that was able to do that when Sony used to invest more in this kind of stuff in the PS2 era. And what's so funny is that a lot of that energy now exists in the indie scene. So, and good on Epic that they were willing to back him up for this, because I usually wouldn't associate Epic with this. Besides when they backed up Remedy for Alan Wake 2. So
Yeah,
to both benefit and detriment,
yeah, I was
because
gonna say it's gonna be interesting to see if this is not on Steam. I would assume it won't be on Steam,
yeah,
which
because
is
of
gonna
that.
be a problem because I think that the Venn diagram of PC gamers that love Ueda and also are obsessed with Steam is probably a circle.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be an interesting road to cross when that
Yes.
gets confirmed if it does. I doubt that Sweeney's interested in
Mhm.
publishing games on Steam, but
Yeah,
yeah,
Alan Wake 2 is still not on Steam, as of this, like from what I understand. But
nope.
this one's coming to PS5 and Xbox, so Xbox gets a Ueda game, like for the first time.
Hell
So
yeah.
I find that interesting. So like
Won't be Play Anywhere though,
number,
because I don't think Sweeney wants to
yeah,
publish games on Microsoft PC
I know.
either.
Oh no. Okay, number one, Eric. What's your number one?
It should be no surprise. If you've ever spoke to me before, it's Gears E Day. This game
Hmm.
is amazing. Uh, it's a little bit cheating because it got the direct, so it got a way bigger look than almost anything. Actually, I think it's still more technically than what God of War got in terms of minutes. Um,
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
am,
because it got the demo and a direct, so it was like 50 minutes. If you
yeah,
want to like add it all together, God of War only got 20.
yeah, I would have loved to see some multiplayer. I know we'll get that soon. They did announce a beta,
Hmm.
but yes, very, very impressive. They just had the State of Unreal, I think, yesterday.
Hmm.
Unbelievable that what they're able to get on a Series X specifically. The Coalition, you had said some people were comparing it to Wolverine. The reason why it's not a fair comparison is because the Coalition are literally like god tier developers when it
Masters of
comes to
UE.
Unreal Engine.
Hmm.
And Unreal
Yeah.
Engine, despite like the problems that a lot of people have with it, myself included, you are probably going to get the best like visuals, like just from a objective uh lens without considering art style and stuff like that through Unreal. Like that's kind of its calling card. And if you're the masters of that engine, like you're going to have a really good looking game. Very impressed that this whole thing is redone from scratch. Like literally, they said from an empty hard drive. As a Gears fan who's played them all extensively and still playing them today, I literally like the last few nights I've been playing Gears 5 multiplayer with my friends. Um, you can see all the tiny differences that are really only going to be possible if you do start from scratch, like little nuances, like how, like you were talking about some of the animations, how you snap to walls, how you can, like just the different little things, even like the reload
Slide.
animations, how the clips pop, like it's all different. They're all these things that you only notice if you are like someone who has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours in all of those games.
Yeah.
That's like the stuff that you don't see when you don't play it that much. Like that's kind of where Hogue doesn't see that stuff. Just
Hmm.
like I don't see that stuff in Xenoblade. But yeah, it's just was so impressive. The set pieces, like that part in the gameplay demo when the train gets derailed, like that's something that you would see from Naughty Dog or from Santa
Hmm.
Monica. But the fact that it's going to
Yeah.
be in a Gears game, it's fantastic. I mean, you're
It's so funny like how like it all circles, like one inspires the other and all that, because like the original over the shoulder game was Gears, and then that kind of took over there, like over there in the Sony side,
what
but
about
they
Kill
started to add more
Switch?
of those cinematic.
You never played Kill Switch?
I did play Killzone, but it didn't have this the flourish and the patina that
No,
Gears like brought
no,
in.
yeah.
So, uh, and then obviously then when Naughty Dog started doing that kind of game, adding more kind of like those cinematic flourishes, like I really love that. That's now circled back again to Gears. Like that moment where it's like the Locust is grabbing Marcus, and then like Dom kind of comes in to kind of help. That kind of adds a little bit more. Again, like if you play Gears, like those games are awesome, but they had a rigidity to like how their gameplay were set up that obviously was all in service of its gameplay. But now it's like they have that on top of like all the little things that just when you see it all together, you start seeing it. It's like it's all these little things that you really appreciate, like if you've been in the series for so long. And I like other stuff that they kind of mentioned, like they're still gonna experiment with like open environments, but now it's instead of like what they did with Gears 5, which is like the two acts that have like the open environments that you're like riding a skid to go to, then just do your tiny gears mini gears level before you kind of go back out. I like that they're doing more with like more organic, like open level, that it's like it's still like a more funnel experience, but with a chance to kind of like deviate and find stuff. I feel that's gonna work better to keep the core of gears like intact. And I'm just more excited for the level verticality, because like they made a point of mentioning that there's not gonna be, what's the typical thing that has played Gears, with like the wall bouncing with the
It's
with like the shot,
it's
like
not
what's
not
that, what was
everybody
it
thinks
called?
that's it's called like I mean I think they call it wall bouncing. I love that in Gears. I think that is what
Yeah.
builds the skill gap. That's where the
Hmm.
outplayability comes from. But there are some people who are likely the victims of people who understand how to wall bounce that don't like it.
Yeah.
But they did say it's not coming out. Now, I have a big
Hmm.
concern with this because if they just rip it out of the game, that's very bad for competitive, in my opinion. So it has to get replaced with something that can create this gap between the high
How about
skilled player and the low skilled players.
how about the slide? You can see
This,
you can even slide in specific like cover plays. Imagine if you're in cover and someone masters like a map, and then you specifically slide in with a shotgun and hit them with the crotch. I feel that's probably where the skill. I feel the mobility is gonna be where the skill gap is not more, instead of like the wall bouncing. That's
yeah,
gonna freshen up the gameplay from Gears, because that's always been such a paintball kind of game, I would say. Like, I mean, and Cliffy V mentioned that it was like the idea of Gears came from him going to play paintball, and him
yeah,
being in car playing paintball and seeing kind of like his paintball arena, and then you can really see like how that a lot of like the combat design with Gears is straight out of paintball.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
so
no,
yeah.
the slide is looks amazing. For, as soon as I even in, I think I was, I mean, I didn't watch it back, but when I was live reacting to it and he slid, I think I freaked out a little bit. Um, but yeah, no, I think like the thing about wall bouncing is if I'm or probably not me, but if somebody was a really skilled player and they're the last guy on their team and there's three enemies left, without wall bouncing and being able to maneuver and outplay people, there's just no way that you can win. Um, so there just needs to be something there. Like at the top, like it's not going to matter too much because everybody's good, but Halo has it. Halo's always had it. It's a combination of and they don't have wall bouncing obviously, but it's a combination of grenades and positioning and jumps and movement that allow that to happen. And Gears just needs to make sure that when they take that out, it's replaced with something or several things that can do
Hmm.
that. And it's been a competitive esport for decade plus since the first one or 2 decades. So I
Yeah.
I suspect that they understand that and that it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for the beta.
Yeah.
Shout out quickly to the horde mode. 12-player horde is going to be insane. They only showed like a 3 or 5 second clip of like a bunch of dudes fighting like a massive like I think it was a
Hmm.
Brumac. It could have been a new locust,
It was
but
a Brumac.
yeah, it
I think it was
looked
a Brumac what they shot there.
yeah, it looked insane. That's going to be. I say this all the time, but they don't really make a lot of what I would say a complete game, a game with a campaign, a player versus player package, and a player versus environment package. But Microsoft does make those, and Gears is one of them, and I think
Hmm.
that it's uniquely positioned to be amongst other
Yeah.
games that will be just PvP
And
or just a campaign.
yeah, I'm glad that it's coming out with all, because they weren't able to do that with Halo. So it's like at least that they're doing that with this time, and like with Infinite that we had to like piecemeal it over a year and a half period. I am hoping that this really has the weight that it deserves, especially like it is really sad that it's taken 7 years for us to get the next Gears game. I'm not gonna count Reloaded. And also Reloaded wasn't that good of a version of a game. If I'm perfectly honest, it's jankier than I was expecting. I think the definitive edition was better. Um, but I just hope like people forget Gears was so big. Like Gears of War 3 in 2011 outsold like 10 plus PS3 exclusives in that same year. That
Yeah,
like just think about that. That was the level
I was
that
there.
Gears used to have. Yeah, that Gears used to have. That that to me is like Gears 4 and 5 were. be like they did well, but to me, like I feel like
Gears
five in
3.
particular, yeah,
Gears
yeah,
3
that's the
collector's
yeah, I remember.
edition.
I remember that. I remember that. I had friends that got that in
So good.
college. They got it the year before, and they took that. They took that as a decorative in our dorm rooms. But the, uh, the thing that like bums me out is that it feels like like years lost cachet with 4 and 5, where it's like those games felt like they just came and went. Obviously, they had the on the unfortunate where the chips had landed with the series around that time, like with the Xbox One and things like that. That I feel like them going so big with Gears this time. I'm hoping that this is there's a reason why they went back to E-Day because people love Marcus, people love Dom. I know what they try to do with the new characters. I like the new characters, but it's obvious it's not gonna hold a candle to the guys that you grew up with the series. So playing that nostalgia card, I'm hoping is the thing that reignites the series and as like a big player. And people should forget because I was having conversation with some guys in my Discord about kind of like whether gear like this big temple Xbox series are relevant, like for modern audiences and all of that. Like, people forget how many people played Halo Infinite at launch. 20
Hundreds of
million players.
yeah.
20 million players. It was at 20 million players, and obviously, it's like it's already legendary. Like, how mishandled uh Halo was as a like Halo Infinite's post launch like content like thing was that it lost a lot of those players and they were not able to like have a great monetization where that became like a like a thing that could be considered super successful. Like overall, I would still say it was a first success, even though it's unfortunate that it was a 10-year game that got cut out that year four. Like consider remember it was gonna be the next 10 years of Halo and they moved on from that. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that this one that they took the extra time that it lands and it lands well. That all three of its pillars, like I don't want to know also a Halo 5 situation where it's like, what the fuck was that campaign? But the multiplayer was awesome because that when one part is bad, that tends to like sink the pack. Look what happened with Black Ops 7.
Yeah.
Abysmal campaign, but really fun multiplayer and zombies. But that horrible campaign like really like sunk the reputation of that game and look how much that game underperformed because of that. I want these gears to like for the time that it's taken for this thing to come out, and I understand that that was also because Coalition took on that like former Naughty Dog role of the ICE. It was called ICE, like the initiative of the Common Engine, where they were like the ones making sure that everyone got to terms with how to use engines, and almost every Xbox team was using UE5. So, and they are the masters at UE5. So I'm hoping that them having taken that pivot of helping others working on their on other stuff and taking time with this game, that when it lands with the weight it deserves. Because if it doesn't, it's gonna sting. It's gonna sting that we waited so long for a Gears to just come and go. I feel like based on like what we saw, it's not. It doesn't feel like it's a game that is gonna come and go. And it is. I am very fascinated, and I feel it's very fitting that this is the first of their new initiative trying to bring back exclusive console exclusivity back to Xbox. It's gonna be interesting which other games they're eventually gonna start doing that. And I know a lot of people could say it's like, well, this is a live service multiplayer game. You would have think that you would have wanted this everywhere, but I'm like, that wasn't a problem back then. Like
No.
it was successful on its own. So it's like I feel this is like this game is so to me, I associate Gears with Xbox. This is like one of those like when you think of a console, this is the series, and I'm hoping that it hits. And I thought it showed really well.
Yeah.
It's not in my top 10. It's not like any ill will against that. It's just more like because it's like I know what I am a Gears fan. I know what I'm getting out of it, and I thought it showed really well. So I'm glad that you had it as your number one. To
Yeah. I think that uh games that are like buy to play that have multiplayer, it's not necessarily the same thing as a free to play service game.
Mhm,
Especially when you look at the PlayStation audience, like they can't even get
mhm.
a decent amount of them to buy a first party pay to play multiplayer game. Both Helldivers 2 was
And
a
they did.
great success, but it was all on Steam, and Marathon
Mhm,
is struggling, and even what's there for Marathon's all on Steam. So the PlayStation
mhm.
audience, yes, they'll jump into Call of Duty and free to play Apex, Fortnite, whatever. But to buy a game that's going to be a multiplayer game, it's a tough sell. So I don't think they're
They don't
necessarily
show up,
losing that much.
and they didn't show up. Like and to me, it's like when I saw how much Reloaded sold on PS5, I'm like, I understand why. Like it's like I could see someone look at the numbers and be like, I think we're okay.
Yeah, do you think God of
But
War
like,
on
and
Xbox would have sold that low? They'll buy that. They will buy that. So I don't know. I don't get it, but I don't think I think that they're definitely going to lose money by PlayStation gamers who want to play the campaign, that would buy it
mhm,
for the campaign. But I don't think the long term uh, sales for it as a live service game is going to be that much of an impact or that much of a loss
mhm.
by not having it on PlayStation.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are wanting to. It's like this is why I always say, like, when you have an exclusive that it's like worth, like when there's a cool looking exclusive, you want to go where those games are, and it's like I saw some people online to be like, hey, it's where can I find an Xbox for this? It's like I think it's working to a certain extent. So it's like, will it work to the numbers that greedy Satya Nutella likes to like seems? Who knows? That's always gonna be my thing, and
Yeah.
we're gonna save that conversation for later. But as of right now, I feel like they're well positioned with with Gears 8. I'm hoping, and I'm rooting for it as someone that loved the original like trilogy and likes 4 and 5. But I love the trilogy
Yeah.
like on 360. So
And your number one, although I'm pretty confident I know what it is.
yeah, you can say it.
At the end of Summer Games Fest, I turned it off because I didn't want to watch any of this, and
Yep.
Alex did not turn it
Hmm.
off because Final Fantasy VII Revelations is likely. I'm assuming your number one.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
And it was a massive showing for that game. It was like the final because it was like 4 trailers in one. They came prepared. Like all this time, the director wouldn't shut up about this game. Like basically, like the director Naoki Hamaguchi, who was there on stage to reveal this game, has been talking about this game nonstop, and it wasn't even revealed. So knowing that he had so much to say is like they really were waiting for like a big block party, and this is what it was. It's like a Final Fantasy VII Revelation is the ultimate like realization of the Final Fantasy VII remake project that people have been waiting in since 2015. The entire party is finally playable. The High Wind, which is like the classic, the airship that you get in most of the old school Final Fantasies to travel the world and all of that, is now finally available. It's like the apex of the Final Fantasy VII story is here now. Where it's like a lot of people think of like a Final Fantasy VII like in the big plot beats. A lot of the cooler plot beats have been like saved for this final part. And when you see that trailer, you're like, "Yep, they're doing that. They're showing it." It's like it's so cool, and I'm really curious how like people that have not played Rebirth how they felt watching that trailer because it's like it's both spoilery and it's not at the same time. It's kind of what's so funny. Like I know what it is. Obviously, as someone has played it, but also knows that original one. But I feel it's like how they showed it. It's like they're showing a really impressive, like fully feature packed JRPG where now they have layered so many systems on top of each other now. Where now it is like they already had one of the best combat systems in any JRPG with like that
yeah,
action slash turn-based hybrid like with the ATV system, and now they have layered a job system on top of that. So it's like now there's even more customization, like what you can do with all your characters. You have the full party, which now includes Vincent Valentine and Sid Iwin, which adds extra flavor to the gameplay. Like Vincent Valentine is both it's a Devil May Cry character, and Sid has like this big spear that has him flying around in such a cool way and summoning dragons and stuff like that. They're showing such a big important moments from like the later part of the game that I'm super curious to see how they handle, because this was a part in the original that was very wide open and you could choose like where to go, because like the original like funnels you very specific into a specific part and then it opens up. And they even show parts in the gameplay where you're flying on the highway and now dropping into the open world like it's freaking Fortnite, which is so funny because it's an Unreal Engine 4 game. I can imagine they were like,
yeah.
let's find the asset. Let's find the asset for the
The bus.
for the Fortnite for the buzz, and this is how we're doing it. That's kind of the thing that I thought, but it's like it's I have to give a big shout out because with this game, Square Enix is doing the impossible in this day and like in this modern era where they're getting a trilogy of games out like in 7 years,
Yeah,
and each game, it's a big evolution from the other. Remake linear game, it's basically Yakuza. Rebirth, wide open game with like it starts like experimenting with open world and all that, and now like this third game is like wide open world now, like from like flying around, because like the other one is kind of like segmented with six different hubs. Now this is like the entire world is like available to you, like like with current like the current modern Zeldas and all of that, and it's all based on the same tech, and they've been like iterating on it, and they've made it work, and they've got it out all on time. It's looking really great, and for Final Fantasy VII Sickos, this is the culmination. Like I love the name Revelation because it's like it's both like a great like allusion to the final book of the Bible with like the apocalypse and all of that, and also like a lot of what a lot of there's a lot of revelations story wise that happens in this part of Final Fantasy. I'm not gonna say what they are, but it's like
Yeah.
they are a lot of people think of a very pivotal like twist halfway through the game as like the big Final Fantasy VII moment, but that's just the beginning. Cooler stuff that is more powerful happens even after that, and that is why the title Revelation is so fitting. It's like I'm super excited. And the fact that it's coming out next spring, 3 years after Rebirth, a massive game on top of that.
Yeah.
Such a great and for people that haven't played Rebirth, like if you hold on, like I can imagine a better kind of like lead in. Like if you have waited to kind of like not play all of them, like those games are on sale right now. Like they made a big show, and I was like, part one, two, and three, it's been like all like it's all there now. They've completed this incredibly ambitious project, and it's like so it's hats off because everything else about Square Enix development wise is a dumpster fire. Like Kingdom Hearts 4 finally showed up again at a Nintendo Direct, and it was just slightly more like a continuation of the first teaser from 2022. So that thing's still like considering like how long that has taken and seeing this entire project as ambitious and big as it is like now finally come out and at its quality, it's like it's something that I'm hoping Square Enix is like taking an eye at Naoki Hamaguchi and his team, because he kept the team 95% of his team worked with him on the first game, stuck together. This is why you need to like treat your people well, and you need to gel these
Yeah.
teams together, because that's how you can get like a well-oiled machine that they know what to do and get big games out. When we think of a big game, it's like, oh yeah, it's gonna take 5 to 7 years. This guy's proved that they could do it in three.
Yeah.
What's your excuse?
Twice.
That's like that, like in doing it twice and multi-platform. Now that this is no console like exclusivity BS with this third part, like they're like blasting it like all over, and they're heavily promoting the Switch 2 version. Like if you go to the press site, they have sectioned off Switch screens because they know that that's the version that they want to sell the most, because they want to sell more in their home country, and their home country is Switch heavy.
Yeah.
So they will make more profit with that, even though I know that this thing will sell well on PS5 and PC. It's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's on Xbox. It's Xbox Play Everywhere. So Rebirth and Remake are Play Everywhere too. So if you
Yep.
buy the Xbox, you can get the PC version too.
And there's
So it's like they're
demos.
treating. Yeah, there's demos. I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a demo for this too. I'm very curious, like where, like how they do the demo for this one, but I'm very excited. It's like it's so cool seeing that this project, which felt like a pipe dream, or we went from this project is never gonna come out, like to it's actually almost finished, and that's insane.
Yeah.
And like it feels like an era. Like this is the last one of those final year of dreams, like kind of like projects that people were wanting, and it feels like very like there's a certain way of realizing that we're nearing the end of this, because it's like a I can't think of what would be like another like dream like announcement for me that could be like of this level. And I'm a more modern like Final Fantasy fan. I can't imagine the 1997 fans that played this originally, like how they feel with all of this. So yeah, like I was happy this was the end of the show, and I feel like it also what makes it grander me as a fan getting to experience it with everyone. This got the loudest cheers beyond Requiem at the summer games fest, and you could see how many people walked out of that theater with a smile on their face and be like, Jeff Keighley delivered the greatest show of all time and all that. And I feel like that played like the way they presented this like was like to maximize hype, and uh that's probably colors it beyond my fandom, but it was such a great moment. I'll never like I feel you would have felt the same way if you have seen Gears E Day like with the like
Oh,
with the crew
absolutely.
on that big screen. So
Yeah.
it's so that adds a lot. So, and as a fun fact, it's like the fact that it was exclusive got all the cheers, and then when all the PS5 logos came back to back afterward, you could the dead silence at that theater was so funny. Just as a personal anecdote. But
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah, so
that's a mess that we can talk about later.
yeah.
In terms of Final Fantasy
Yes.
7, I actually like adore FF7. That's probably my top 10 from last gen. I
Hmm.
am I replayed it on hard mode and I am at the
Hmm.
end. I just am struggling to beat that pride and whatever that
Yeah.
like the secret boss.
Ah, yeah, the secret boss from the from Chatterley's
Yeah, it's very hard.
yeah,
I
like
mean, I should say, I mean, I haven't beat him in multiple tries, so I guess technically, yeah, struggling
mhm,
would be the word. I haven't given it
mhm,
that many attempts, or I haven't looked at any
mhm,
guides or anything either. But I'm about to
yeah.
end the hard mode playthrough of that. Um,
Mhm,
I actually started. Uh, we'll probably talk about what we're playing briefly soon. But I did start Reunion, which is
mhm,
cool because it's connected, but it's also not the best game. I'll probably still finish it though.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
but
You can tell it's PSP origins in that game. It's like
yeah, just from
it's
a
a nice
design
visual uplift,
perspective.
but design you can definitely tell that it was meant to be like a
Yeah,
it's a smaller it was a smaller game by design. So
yeah, but it's still worth it, I think. I know of the big spoiler from the original game that we don't have to say.
almost
You
everyone
you
knows.
you know
Yeah.
what I'm talking about.
And almost everyone knows. Yeah.
So I know that that's going to happen, or sorry, I know that that did happen in the old games, and then when this started playing, and I noticed immediately that a certain character wasn't with them in any of these scenes, and
Hmm.
don't say anything. I just
Yeah.
made some assumptions, and I was just like, if this is spoiled, then I just don't want to see anything else. So I turned it off,
Hmm.
not because I'm not interested, not because I don't like it. It's literally the exact opposite. I turned it off because I want to play
Yeah.
Rebirth and I don't want things spoiled. I did turn it off and then turned it back on in 10 minutes to watch something else, and it was still
And it was still
going.
going right.
And it was like Matt Mercer was on the stage. I was like, what is happening? I
Yeah.
had to turn it back off.
Yeah, he was emceeing the effect because he was like he was emceeing like what we were seeing. It was really cool because he's such a
Yeah.
great like if you watch Critical Role, he's such a great
Yeah.
dungeon
Yeah. Yeah.
master. So he's so good at like hyping you up or kind of like guiding you to what with what you're seeing, and that made it so cooler because like they were so confident with what they wanted to
Yeah.
show. They just didn't want to tease. They were like, "We have gameplay. Let's show you all these different systems. Look how big this game is, and it's coming out soon."
Yep.
So it's like it was all a perfect whammy. They did this reveal much better than they did Rebirth, which all ironically was the show closer for 2023 Summer Game Fest. It was like the first look at gameplay for that one was oh look, it's open world, but it was like a little more muted compared to this. I feel more confident. This felt like this finally felt like someone trying to sell a game. Let's put it
Yeah.
that way. That didn't feel like it was just playing to inside baseball. This felt like look at how impressive this is. Look how big this is. Like it's got all of this. Like it just feels like they were and the big cheers it got are like it's a full multi-platform release, so everyone gets to experience this together. It's like that's a I'm glad that that's happening because like these games are so good that they don't need that they should be like experienced by everywhere. And at the very least, the Switch audience has shown up in droves to the Rebirth remake and Rebirth port. I don't know how Rebirth has done on Xbox. They haven't mentioned much on that one, but it's like they're seemingly happy to be everywhere. It's like they could have skipped it again, but they're still releasing there. So it's like that. It's good that this finally they're not gonna be third class citizens for this one. So
Yep. Yeah.
I'll be
So
playing it on Pro. I'll be playing it on Pro anyway.
Oh,
So
I'll probably get it
it's like,
on
yeah,
PlayStation. I have like two
yeah,
of the deluxe editions, so I have to get the third one. I'm
mhm,
assuming they'll do a similar package. But yeah,
yeah,
that's our top 10 games. We went way long. It's 2 hours in pretty much. Um,
yeah,
I do want to give you a chance to briefly talk about like your experience being physically at Summer
mhm,
Games Fest. You don't have to go
yeah,
through every single thing that you've saw or
oh yeah,
played, but just like
mhm,
I guess what I'm curious about is, and then after this we'll end with what we're playing, and then we can go to bed. Um,
mhm,
I'm curious just like what it's like. Like, how do you uh get to like sign up to try and get into like you had mentioned that you had tried to get into Gen Atlas but couldn't. Like, like how
mhm,
is that like once the show's over? I Summer Games Fest, I think that's at night, so when it's
Mhm.
over, it might just be over. I think you said there's like cocktails or whatever after, but
Yeah,
like when you actually are on the floor and you're trying to see games and play games, like I'm curious what
yeah.
that's like. Is it like going to Disneyland and you're standing in line for most of the time, or it's like,
Yeah, so it's like kind of how it works is obviously there's it kicks off with the showcase. So last year was at the YouTube theater. This year was at the Dolby Theater at in Hollywood, and then the day after is when Play Day start, which is at an undisclosed location. I can't say where it is for safety, but I can tell you where it is, like like in secret. But it's like you go to the place where they have rented out to make play days, and it's like this campus where you go to like different stations where certain publishers and developers have been like set up. Sometimes they have really very elaborate booths. Sometimes they're just like in the general like uh your general area that has the TVs with with the controllers and all that. But in Playdays, it's all appointment based. So, like for example, I went there via season gaming. So Ains was in charge of like signing us up for what was available in the schedule because it's like once you're in, like PR starts contacting you, be like, this game's gonna be there. Sometimes it's unannounced game that then you learn what that game is. Like after the showcase. So last year, like we were with Bandai Namco for Code Vein 2, but we didn't know it was Code Vein 2 until it was announced. But we had already selected a slot for whenever that goes, and depending on your stature, whether you're like big media or a smaller outlet. You have a bigger chance to see all these demos or any presentation that they have at Playdays during the final days of the thing. Whereas if you're a bigger alley, you have a chance to see all of this that Saturday or Sunday. So it's all appointment based, and sometimes do you have a chance to walk in because it's like they have the station and there's a PR rep there, and then you're like, hey, you show them your badge and be like, I'm with a certain outlet and I would like to see if there's an availability in your schedule because sometimes they like having open slots just in case like someone wasn't able to like book an appointment because there's so many million emails you get out of Summer Games Fest. So
yeah,
we that's how I got to see Sea of Remnants from NetEase. I got to walk in and be like, hey, like, do you have any slots available? I write for season game, and they got me in for an hour demo of that game, which was
wow,
very interesting. And then other devs are more open to kind of show their game off. Shout out to Impulse, 1047 Games. Like they had quite this really felt like an apology tour for them after the implosion of Splitgate 2 and like the way the founder was like behaving and how he was presenting himself. You could tell that he ate a
yeah,
lot of humble pie and he was more like excited to like make up for that with like this other game and Impulse like Luke Lore from the expansion pass. Like he's the one that was like, go talk to him and tell him that I send you and he's gonna get you in. He literally I went in, be like, oh yeah, I'm with Season Gaming and I already know that you spoke with our EIC because there's an interview there with him at the Season Gaming channel. But I was like, I'm interested to try. I was like, yep, come in. And he got me in. I got to try it. Really fun
yeah.
game
I
that's coming
played
out
it
really
today
soon. Yeah,
actually.
yeah, it's like that was a Steam. It was part of the Steam Next Fest, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's coming out in early access as a paid game, and so that's usually the dynamics of how that works. It's all appointment. I wish it was just like you arrive and then first come first serve, but I understand why they do it that way, so there's not like a line
yeah,
of if you're gonna remain there forever until you get your chance to play. So it's
yeah.
all appointment based.
And they get
So
to filter too.
and
Like if
mhm,
IGN wants to cover it, but they're at the back of the line, like that sucks for them because IGN's going to give them
mhm,
more eyeballs than like SG would.
exactly.
So if both
Hmm.
IGN and SG apply for the last seat, then they get the opportunity to give it to IGN. Like, it helps.
Exactly.
It helps them
And
too.
like and what's funny is that like we were trying to get one of the open spots for Stranger Than Heaven. They were showing they had a playable demo there, but apparently they didn't want to give it to us because some Xbox execs were gonna come over to play it, but they had not shown up yet. But they didn't want to like eliminate the slots. So they couldn't give it to us. So Don was like he felt very he felt very jilted that that he was like I platinum these games. I'm like they don't care. It's like it's Xbox. They're gonna give it to like those excited.
So
They're
now
gonna
he
give it to
hates
those
Xbox even
executives.
more.
Yeah. So
Oh my
it's funny
god.
how that
Did
works,
they
but
actually show up or you don't know?
I don't know.
Oh,
It would be funny if they didn't. So, um, I tried getting into other stuff and couldn't because they were so overpacked. with like appointments. Control Resonant and Ace Combat 8 were two of those like playable demos that people were buzzing about that with excitement. I haven't played them, and uh, I couldn't get in. I tried at the last second, and they even told me, hang out here. If someone doesn't show up, maybe that's sometimes luck of the draw. Like some people have appointments that sometimes overlap. We had that with Tomb Raider and the expansion for Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. We had to say no to the expansion to Grand Blue to go play Tomb Raider. My previous up for the side. That's I wouldn't want to call it the most disappointing demo that I played, but it's definitely the one that I'm like, yeah, out of everything that I played, high budget, this needs work. This still needs a little. It's understandable why they still have 8 more months of polish for this thing.
Yeah.
It's like and a bigger contrast of seeing how polished the 30 minutes of Alien was versus Tomb Raider, and it's a so you never know how that's gonna go. Like whenever you see this game, but obviously it's like you. Sometimes they always tell you it's like just know that while you're playing, it's not representative of the final game. It's still a work in progress. Sometimes you hear that and then you play it. It's like okay, it's like this is pretty polished. This is nice goal. And then other times it's like I understand. Yeah, you still have, there's still ways to go. Cobain 2 looked bad when we saw it, like bad. It ran like shit like last time, but it was like it still got time. And then the game came out and it was decent. It at least was running well, but the game wasn't well received. That is like sometimes you never know how that thing's gonna go.
Yeah.
So if you ever go with SG, like under them, it's like it will all depend on the appointments that our EIC books us. I know other times, like when you're a streamer, something depending on the game, you may get priority over media because what's so funny is that when we went to see Tomb Raider, because we were media, they literally separated media and streamers like in different stations. Funny enough, because they're trying to capture like just the reactions of the streamers versus like the media, because they kind of know that media would like they're meant to be like more critical of things versus like a more of a content creator. So they sometimes like that dynamic can really determine like how the price. I mean, it's PR at the end of the game. You're like presenting a game that you eventually wanted to sell to people. So
Yeah.
it's like it was interesting seeing those like those dynamics in play while you're there. It's never gonna be the glamour because E3 apparently was a mix of also appointments and also things that you needed to line up to see and all that. It's not quite that yeah with this, but this also is not open to the public, so it's just the play days is just media and streamers or people that register for that event. So
Is it
uh,
mostly PR that you interface with, or is there like a good amount of the actual developers or people from the studio that you get to talk to as well?
I got to talk with the Alien Isolation directors that were at the showcase when they were there.
See,
So it's
that's what
like
I would love. I would have a hard time. I mean, I would probably piss them off because of how excited and interested and
mhm,
inquisitive I would be talking to them, wasting their time. But that would be the goal for me would be to be able to talk to them more so
yeah.
than PR people. No offense, PR people.
Mhm. Yeah, it mixes. Like for example, I feel where you will see most of the depths are like indies. Like there's this indie called Pedal Runner, that really cute indie, top down, like Game Boy Color like RPG that it's not combat. Like it's instead of combat, you do mini games, and it's a team of three, and the three of them were there. Like them were in the
Nice.
game, so you got to like, so you got to talk with them and kind of like create that rapport and all that. Then, for example, Galactic Racer, none of the devs were there, but they had one of the biggest booths there, just represented by PR. So it's like it changes, it varies depending on like on depending on the game. Like 1047, the guys were there. So it's like it's all. I think that it's always more like case by case. Who's there to demo stuff? Like at Xbox Fan Fest, which is where I went to see a showcase. The head of Halo Studios, Pierre Hintz, he was there. Like he
Yeah.
was there floating around the stations where we were playing Halo, the Halo campaign of all like silent cartographer mission. And after we were done, if you caught him, like he talked with you, like face to face, and he was like, he literally was like, shoot it straight. Two things you didn't like, two things you liked. Go tell me. It's like something that's really cool. Like hearing that, it's like, oh, cool, yeah. It's like, and I got to tell him the input lag. Is this monitor based or is this something? And he was very honest. Like this monitor suck. Don't you worry. The game's not gonna. It's not gonna feel like that. And there's also Unreal, and he told me there's Unreal Engine 5 latency that we're still trying to tweak like to the last minute. So I'm like, cool. And and I got to tell him other stuff. Like I like how it ran, and he told me it's like, yeah, like he was like our previous build had frame rate problems, and we're working down to the wire to get like all that polish in and all that. So you sometimes get that opportunity to talk. Like I ran into Major Nelson, got to take a picture with him. Like they invited him on like to kind of like MC the event, and that was cool because I like Major Nelson. Like he's one of like he was such a cool like Xbox lost a lot when they lost Major Nelson. He was such a great like front face in the communications department for them. Last year when I went to Summer Game Fest, I ran into other developers like Neil Druckmann. He was there
Wow.
demoing stuff. We were in line and I took a picture with him. I told him, it's like, I love your games. And his co-writer for Last of Us Part 2, Hallie Gross, was there too. And I got to take a picture with her too. So it's like sometimes you have those opportunities. You never know who you're gonna find. Like I met Maximilian Dude, like outside the bathroom. He's a massive man. He's like super tall. Like Greg Miller. I've seen him twice now. He was at Xbox. Just that picture that I took with him the day of the showcase. It's like these. That's the
Wonder if
cool
he'll be at
part of this.
Xbox next year. We'll see.
I wonder after after that
Yeah,
video.
we'll
We'll talk
see.
about more whenever those news break.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's like if you've seen many media personalities that are popular, like there's a chance you run through them there. Like Khalif Adams now, like he follows me now on Twitter. Like you have that kind of those kinds of opportunities. So, but yeah, that's kind of like the experience goes. Like going with SG, I get off the stress of what are gonna be the appointments. I'm just trust Ains that he's gonna get us in. But then eventually when we have empty time, he tells us go walk around and just talk with PR and be like if they can get you in, and you never know. And that's how we added a couple stuff.
that's sweet.
And other times it doesn't work. And apparently, and we've gotten more and more appointed. Like SG as a side, like obviously, the more you meet up with PR, the more they put a face to it, like who they are, and then the more likely they're gonna give you those appointments. And that's why it's so important to go to these things,
Yeah,
put yourself out there because yeah, it was really cool. Like I would say, like I saw it. I love going this year more than the first year. Obviously, the first year was like the Cloud 9. Can't believe I'm here and all that. But it's like so many people recognize you from last year, and that was so cool. Hey, I remember you. Like, dude, Ben Starr remember me.
wow.
I was like, I was because I took a picture with him and Jennifer English outside the showcase for last year, and I was just standing there waiting for Alien Isolation 2, and he was headed to say, and he saw me, and he come over and said, "Dude," and he hugged me. It's like that is cool that you can be
That's
remembered. That like
wild.
yeah, Jake Baldino and Skill Up remember, and Lucy James remember me from last year too. Like when I met them, so it's like that's the dream to me because like yeah, it's like you become someone that's known, just not just like an empty face that you see there.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
Greg
it's
remembered me from last year too. So
that's cool. It's definitely a dream to go. Logistically, it's tough for me with like kids and
yeah, because of
whatnot.
your kid. Hmm.
But it's not out of the question. Like someday I want to get there. It sounds ever since I was like seeing the first E3, I've been wanting to go. I know it's changed since then, but it's definitely on the bucket list. But yeah, no, I love it. It's the best time of the year. These are my favorite videos to make. Favorite week of gaming is to watch all these showcases. This year in particular was amazing because it felt like everyone was firing off on all cylinders. Um, it's going to be tough to beat, I think, from next year. But we also have new consoles on the horizon, so I have a feeling that Summer Games Fest is going to keep getting better and better. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was Summer Games Fest. Before we leave, since we're already over 2 hours, and I'm yawning a lot, if you haven't noticed, let's just quickly jump over what we're playing. I'm not playing a ton, so I'll go first. I already mentioned I was playing Reunion.
Hmm.
Still chipping away at First Light. I I I, I talked.
What chapter are you on? Just out of curiosity,
I
because there's
just I'm very early because I am so brain rot trying to figure out what platform I want to actually commit to on this. So I
like
just met
if what you care is for the cleanest version, PS5 Pro. It's like easy. That's like that there's
I
it's clear
know.
cut there, but it runs well on base machines. It's just like the FSR 3 like shimmering that's
That's what's
in those
breaking
performance
me.
modes. Yeah. Hmm.
So I I got through the first real mission, which is so good. It's so good.
It's
This is like
a
the
state of play. It's a state of play mission, right? That ends
yeah,
with the airplane.
but
Yeah.
there's so
Mhm.
much more to it that they cut through in that. It's just so good. I actually did that, like, I guess it's an airfield like
Mhm.
combat scene. I played that like 3 or 4 times to try to master it. And it's so fun. But what broke me is the next mission where you finally I guess it's slightly spoiled. I don't really care. It's not I'm not going to spoil anything crazy. You know, like, who one of the villains is. They've been in the marketing a lot. But when you first meet that villain, like, I'm
Mhm.
not going to describe the scene, but you remember the scene when he first shows up. The thing
Mhm.
that sucks about this game on Xbox is that there's a lot of cinematic camera angles that are going to show close-ups of people's faces because this is a movie and it's awesome. But FSR3 cannot handle hair. And when everybody has highly detailed hair in this game, especially on close up, I can't stop looking at the jet. Like, I should
At,
send you a
at the
screenshot.
temples, at the temples, right? It's like over here. They look like there's like they're flickering in and out. I think I've seen
Yeah,
it.
but Bama is like the worst. I think I took a clip of it. I forgot to send it. It's like
Uh,
his beard is all messed up. His face, it's just like the FSR3 shit. It just can't do it. And I know from experience from what I've played in other games on PS5 with PSSR2, it's gonna look beautiful. And I'm struggling to get through the game because I should just restart it on PlayStation. Anyways, but I am
and you're
chipping.
still technically early, and you're still technically early, so it's not like you have made all the full advancements, so you could still like replay through all of that like
Yeah.
with better visuals. So
Yeah, so that's what I'm leaning towards, honestly. But the game itself is it's just so good. The other game I wanted to shout out, this is actually probably the game I played the most this week, surprisingly, is a random game that just showed up on Game Pass. Actually, technically Xbox exclusive, which is crazy
uh,
in this day and age. It's called Beatdown City Survivors. It's made
I
by,
saw it in my list. I saw it in the list when
yeah,
I turned my Xbox on.
ex GTA developers studio. I
Mhm.
can't remember the name of the team, honestly. But it literally is just vampire survivors with a, I would say, like, if Vampire Survivors is like an NES graphics sprites, this is like SNES, so slight upgrade there. Um, has one of the best soundtracks of the year because it's like just pure, like, underground hip hop tracks that are all licensed, but they're things that you probably haven't heard before. It's like it's things I've never heard of before. I'm not trying to like be a hipster or anything, but it's so awesome to just put that on with that music. I actually went to the settings and turned, like, notched down a lot of the other volume just so the music would overtake it and just play like a survivor game. It's way harder than Vampire Survivors. You are gonna not progress as fast because of the difficulty. Um, and it kind of separates itself a little bit because there's a huge emphasis on the environment. So, like, there's like if there's like gasoline on the ground and like you light it on fire, then everything lights on fire. And if you're on fire, you're going to start dying. There's like different things like that. There's different elements that you're going to try to get them to walk over, and different effects that you have to really use to actually progress because like I said, it is quite hard. But it's the same flow state kind of game of Vampire Survivors, but it just has like such a cool vibe because of the hip hop aesthetic and the hip hop soundtrack. It also is like the attacks are aimed, like they don't just automatically shoot at stuff where whatever direction you're facing. Like, you could run to the right and shoot to the left, which is kind of neat. You can combine weapons in weird ways. Like, the weapons are all like for the culture, I guess. So, like, you have like a baseball bat, and if you like combine it with like a, or no, you get a dagger and you can combine it with, if you level it up, and then you get the bird from Vampire Survivors, you level that up. It's like a New York pigeon. You combine it into like a pigeon with knives that flies around and throws knives. It's just really on the nose. It's definitely like not game of the year or anything like that. And but if you have Game Pass and you have PC or Xbox and you like those survivor games and you are a fan of hip hop, it's definitely a vibe. And I really, really like it.
Yeah, I've certainly been playing more on my Xbox. I've certainly become a little bit of a
Fanboy?
temporary sellout. A sellout. Like, I mean, when they give you like a cool bottle, the like the 25th and like the 25th anniversary hoodie, and when you have the fan badge, that's gonna give you the anniversary Xbox later this year, and also they gave us a Dickies like jacket. It's like they really swagged us up, but
And
just
a
kidding. It's like
console?
I've always played all three. Yeah, they're giving us that console later. So,
Yeah.
but when tomorrow is the sign up. Like tomorrow, like all of us, that they're gonna send us a link to get all that the info in of where that thing's gonna go. So it's like,
Wow.
yeah, it's a they certainly bought a little bit of my loyalty, let's say, even though I have my DualSense Edge over there. My Portal case is back there. I have Nintendo stuff there. It's like
Hey man,
I'm
games
a
are
huge
games.
yeah. That's how it should be. I would say it's a nice hoodie. I'd say. What I'm playing, Gears of War Reload. It's a mix of Gears of War Reloaded, God of War 2018, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Obviously, and Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Switch 2 Edition, which I streamed briefly yesterday
D-
on stream.
You know
I
what's
understand what you meant when,
yeah,
when you brought it to me.
you know what's funny? When I tuned in, I didn't get to watch a bunch of it, but when I tune into your stream, like the algorithm's like, oh, he wants to see Xenoblade shit, and then the videos I started getting recommended were like, why Xenoblade Chronicles is the greatest game ever made, and I was like, first of
Uh,
all, there's literally nothing that you could say that could convince me that that's true. So I'm gonna watch this video, and yeah, there's no justification. I beat that game if you can believe that. I
uh,
beat Xenoblade Chronicles. It is such a flawed game. I cannot understand why it's so beloved. I get that it has good music. I really think that the concept of the world is interesting and the story is actually not bad either, but the gameplay is so bad. It's actually unreal. It's like, "Oh yeah,
it's
you
a MMO. It's like an MMO. It's like MMO combat.
no, way
It's
worse than MMO
automatic
combat."
slashing.
Dude, you have like it's like okay, slight spoilers for the combat in Xenoblade. You have a character who you play as who his entire kind of combat flow is based on debuffing targets and then hitting them with a powerful attack. To debuff the target, you have to hit them from the side, and to do your powerful attack, you have to hit them from the back. The problem is that the enemies are locked onto you and facing you directly at all times, and you
Yeah, so it's hard to
cannot
get
do
in.
that. The only way you can get them to not face you is to use the one ability you have that can drop aggro for like one attack. But guess what? There's somebody on your team that's a tank and they have taunts. But guess what? You can't control them or tell them when
Control.
to taunt. They just have to randomly do it. So you're just sitting there waiting while you're getting your ass beat for your teammate, the AI, to use their ability, the right one that you need. And then maybe you have an opportunity to like try and do your damage rotation or how you're supposed to. It's just it's honestly, dude, it's so bad. I mean, to their credit, this is a game for the Wii, so it's not like the most modern game. There's definitely and it improves in the sequels. I haven't completed two, but two's combat is significantly improved. But I just don't understand the love that this game. I cannot. I cannot.
Yeah,
Lost
I have
Odyssey came out
realized
around the
when
same time. It's significantly better.
yeah, Lost Odyssey was 2 years before. So and Lost Odyssey is like a clear influence on E33. The
Yeah,
director said as much.
yeah,
Um, I feel like I usually learn that, especially for those JRPGs of that era, it's like what people think of that is because of story and music and things like that, more so than combat. And the thing that people always sell me on Xenoblade is that this game is from the original scenario writer that was gonna write Final Fantasy VII, that got its pitch rejected because it was too dark, and then he left Square Enix to go to work on the Xenogears franchise, that eventually then led to Xenoblade Chronicles. And that scenario writer worked on Final Fantasy VI, which is considered one of the greatest games of all time, especially in the JRPG or otherwise. So knowing that pedigree, I see in the grandiosity of the setup of like civilizations living in the dead bodies of these titans that clashed long ago and things like that. It's like that's the kind of grandiosity that I really love, and I feel like it's properly conveyed with the scale. Like I love just in the brief time that I played yesterday, I love like zooming the camera out and looking up and be like, man, this is a huge environment. It's so cool thinking that it's like we're in a Titan here. I just love that dichotomy of being like a tiny ant within something big. And the music, I was really vibing like in the hour that I played because I japped about Summer Game Fest for 2 hours yesterday.
Yeah, the
It's
music's
it's so
great.
funny. Yeah,
The
yeah.
music in 2 is
I can
even
see that.
better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I heard the three music is unreal.
Yeah, I
Also,
couldn't believe it.
yeah, I am because I only played for like an hour. I think I'm gonna give it another stream just to see like if this is something that I'm gonna commit, or I still want to see it because it's like I just want to have this notch in my belt of this game because I've heard so much praise of this game for years from so many. So like at least I kind of want to see it for myself. So
It's
it's funny hearing your your perspective on it.
I well, first of all, the worst thing about this entire series you haven't even seen yet, which is the no
The
pawns.
dialogue.
Well, if you think the
Oh,
dialogue's bad now, wait till you meet the Nopons or whatever
the
they're called.
Nopons.
They're like this
Are they
little
like these tiny creatures? These tiny
yes,
creatures?
but not only
Yeah.
are they tiny creatures, but they just speak so annoyingly, and it just is so cringe. I could bear I c- I say I beat this game. It took me like 4 years. It was just like the amount of times that I just quit and then came back like a year later and had to watch like a YouTube recap of everything that happened
Where you
before.
were.
Yeah, was like probably 3 or 4 times. Um,
Mm.
I think it's probably worth it, especially now with the Switch 2 enhancements because the story,
It
it,
looks nice. It
yeah,
looks really nice. Like it's clean.
the
And like
story
you can
is
see kind of
good.
that cleanness.
The concepts
Uh,
for the story are good. The idea behind the Monado is cool. I do like Shulk. I do like Ryan. But like the combat's going to frustrate you. Well, first thing I'll recommend, and don't do what I did and play on hard because when you're on
mhm.
hard, it's like, oh, now you really have to use the busted,
Everything.
horrible, poorly conceived combat. Uh, and like at the end, I'm ashamed to admit it. At the end, I did drop the difficulty down because I was
The
the
casual mode.
I
The casual mode is in the options.
the first thing I did was I went online and I just like, there has to be something I'm doing wrong. Like, give me a guide for this boss. And they're like, oh, yeah, to beat the boss, you have to go to a different area and just mindlessly grind for like 50 hours and get like way over leveled, like whatever level I was at just by doing most of the side quest and all of the main quest. Um, yeah, it was like 20 or 30 levels behind where I needed to be. And they're like, yeah, just go over here and just kill everything on the map and reload your like the checkpoint is just grind for like 20, 30 hours. It's easy because it's a Switch and you can just watch TV while you do it. I was like, bro,
Yeah.
no, I'm not doing
Yeah,
that.
that yeah.
So
So you
ugh,
dropped it to casual and went forward. Yeah. It's like I usually like playing these games for story more than challenge, especially because the challenge if the combat was like more involved where it's like actiony and all of that. It's like it's good. It sometimes feels better when you're like get like lock in and all those things. But when combat is like this automated with like having to do the selections based on like meters that fill up, kind of like a mobile game. Ironically, like I feel like I don't want to challenge myself too much. I want to see more of the story, and the story that I saw really did intrigue me. I really love like I love the aesthetic that this thing kind of has going. That kind of like both future retro aesthetic, but not retro futurist. It's like kind of like because retro futurist is more Starfield level sci-fi.
yeah.
I would think, but it's like there's just something alluring that I kind of want to keep chipping away at, and it's like I definitely have more of a tolerance for the cringe. Yeah, like that's like pervasive for this
Tell me
genre.
when you get to
I
the
would
no
say so.
pawns.
Yeah,
Tell me when you get to the
yeah.
no pawns.
I'll let you know for sure. It's
Um,
yeah, and then I'm playing Gears. I'm doing Gears Reloaded because it's like, yeah, Gears EA is coming. I kind of want to play through the series again. And I've never done Reloaded, but I played the original and the Definitive Edition many times. So sometimes I like playing through the original because I don't like playing through the Brumac section. I like getting out of that mansion straight to the train. The Brumac is like, you're neat, but it's like, I feel the original is paced so perfectly, I would say, like from like the places that you go, that Brumac section just feels like extra slow from what you're used. But I was curious about Reloaded, and it is definitely the worst version. It's prettier in many spots, but I'm noticing weird quirks, and like I feel like the original shouldn't have this much color. I would say, like it affects the mood
Yeah.
of certain scenes. Like it's like the original was so it was a product of its time. It's a perfectly gray game, but
Yeah.
it's like it's a reason. It's like I like that Ide. It's like going back to that. Yes, it has a little bit more color, but there's kind of like that grit that is so very specific towards the original, that something loses a little bit when you start adding a little bit more color. And I feel that's you notice that a lot with UE5 compared to UE4, and even especially UE3 that was more monochrome in
Yeah.
its color. And then because of Lawfey, I was like, I feel it's time for my yearly God of War 2018 replay. So I'm early on, and it's like I'm gonna be paying attention to a lot of story stuff right now that I'm replaying this, and like by the time I get to Lawfey, especially now knowing that it's supposed to be like a lot of the things that have not been resolved will be touched upon in Lawfey. So that's
Yeah.
gonna be like the official third game for this. That's gonna make this replay even more like rewarding knowing that, because before thinking of the unresolved stuff gave me a little bit of a bad taste after Ragnarok concluded. Be like, wait, we concluded North Saga and these things were left open. We didn't hear who blew the horn, like, like or things like that.
I still haven't
Now I
got the
think we
platinum
know.
in 2018. It's a
Oh
mark of shame. The
yeah,
post game
it's a
stuff
great
on
platinum.
well, play it
And
on
Give
Give
Me
Me
God of
God of
War.
War.
Yeah,
I beat it the
no, I
game
did it.
on
Yeah,
oh you
I beat it and Give Me God of War. Yeah,
you
I did
beat
it during the pandemic. That's what made that game one of my favorites of all time, because
but did you
it's
beat like
so
the Valkyrie Queen
the
and the
Valkyrie Queen. Yeah, I
okay.
did it.
My problem
And you get a
is
Zeus, and you get a Zeus armor that can one hit kill you, but then you can one hit kill enemies later on. It's like it's a really it's like dark gray. It's like dark gray black that looks super cool.
I
So
just
I recommend you should
I
try to
I
finish
haven't
that.
given it enough tries, but it was really I was so burnt out at the end because it's such a grind. And then when I found out that you had to like play through this like acid place where you're just like constantly dying
Yeah,
and you don't know where to
yeah,
go, I was just like,
Muspelheim,
yeah, I was just like,
Muspelheim.
oh my
Yeah.
god, I'll come back to this, and then I never did, and I forgot how to play it at that level.
Yeah, that play is annoying because you have to beat all the Valkyries before you do the Valkyrie Queen, and there's a Valkyrie
Yeah,
in that misplay. So you have to like hope that you get good art, because that place is RNG. It's like it's diamond shaped, and you have to like pick like an obstacle play, and you have to hope that one of the obstacles that you get it's not too annoying that slows you down, because you have like health slowly like deteriorating, unless like you grind up for an armor that can like slow down like how much health you lose. And because the Valkyrie is already so like difficult to beat, because they like really like take that combat to the limit, having that on top of that can be like
it was pretty oppressive,
can
I
be,
found. I did get to that Valkyrie in there, but I was already like
Mhm,
half dead, and like even though she wasn't hitting me that much, I was still dying, and it was just like, oh my
mhm.
god. But I will beat it, especially if you say you beat it, I'll beat it.
Yeah, I did it.
Before
I did
Laufey.
it because yeah, I did it in the pandemic because Glad, the Destiny streamer, during that kind of like a Destiny lull that was happening in Season of the War, he started playing other games, and people recommended him to play God of War, and he did give me God of War playthrough, and I got to see him beat the Valkyrie, and I was like, I want to try it. I want to try. Like, if he could do it, I want to see if I could do it, and that really pushed me. And that was like that Valkyrie Queen in Gimme God of War took literally 2 weeks of that
Wow,
pandemic for me to beat, because I was like so constantly be like, I am going to beat this bitch. I am gonna do it.
you have
And
to
I
have the
did. And
attitude.
it was the most, yes. And it's like then that's what really like to me solidified that that game has top tier combat design, because I like got so good at every single little like nuance of knowing when to do the quick turn to not be blinded, know specifically when to throw the axe to
Yeah,
bring the queen down, knowing when to do the L1 like a parry, like whenever there's like the yellow dot, they have to nail that, because you can block that. If not, it just breaks your it's not unblockable, but breaks your stance and things like. It's
yeah.
like you start learning all of that, and it's like playing that thing on normal. You can kind of like brute force the combat and make it fine, just like spamming all that, but there's more depth there
Oh yeah.
than it seems like there is. And Ragnarok's even better uh,
Yes.
with that because of the extra weapon, the more runes, and
Yep.
more like
Set
a
pieces.
it has more of a, and besides the set pieces, that the certain abilities that you do, like with combining certain buttons and all that, that feels like it's clear that a guy that worked on fighting games was the director of Ragnarok,
Yeah.
based on like how the control scheme was like set up. Is like because Eric Williams worked on X-Men First Next Dimension,
Yeah.
and he was the director of Ragnarok. So it's like you could tell
Yeah.
that he brought that philosophy there, and that's why their Combat of Ragnarok's better. I still have not done Give Me God of War for that one because it's a longer game, so
Yeah. I
I
beat
need to
that at
have
Gimme
more of a
God of
mind.
War. I got that
Yeah,
platinum on Gimme God of War. I gotta get back to
2018 to 2018.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the best way to play though. Like, I don't think this like Gimme 2018 is one of my favorite games of all time. I don't think it would be if I played it on anything but that because it forces you
Hmm.
to master the combat mechanics, and if you don't have
Hmm.
that force or if you're not forced to, then you will take the path of least resistance and you will just mash your way to the end, and it ruins the combat dance of that game.
And yeah, and I would say that as a new game plus, it makes Give Me God of War like the perfect, because like once you get like all the armor from your first run, if you start like a normal all of that, if you want to do the new game plus run, you bring that armor with you, and it makes it like trying to do Give Me God of War in that second run even more satisfying. If it's too much, because like it can be really spammy like early on, like if you were having nothing, like your stats at zero and all that, like hard mode, like it's tanky. I'm replaying it on hard right now just to remember. I'm like, yeah, I forget that in the beginning it's like that the enemies can be a little too tanky on the
Yeah.
health until you start getting the upgrades. Then once you start building, it's like
Yeah.
it's you just start like mastering it. So
Yep. Nope. God of War definitely good. But yeah, I think
mhm.
this is a good place to end. It's 2.5 hours.
Yep.
I'm getting very sleepy. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's the podcast, guys. That's Summer Games Fest, our top 10 games. A little peek behind the curtain and what it's like to actually go there, which is really interesting to hear from. But yeah, Alex, thanks for joining me again on the Game Positive
Mhm.
podcast. Can you go, I'll put it in the description, but can you go ahead and tell people where they can find those streams of you playing Xenoblade Chronicles?
Yes, you can find me at twitch.tv/the Slayer Giant and youtube.com/the Slayer Giants with an S at the end. And find me on social media in my socials at the Slayer Giant on Twitch and Blue Sky. And my written stuff for season gaming, like I've written a bunch of previews. I still need to finish a few because we do one a day because of how he has set up the SEO and all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So I'm waiting for him to finish a piece before I write another one. So I'm kind of taking my time to write. So it's like I've written quite a lot over the last week and a half.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
big shout out to like the big sites that are able to crank a bunch of these, like so many of them. Is like
Well, it helps when it's like your
it's like,
full time job.
yeah,
Yeah,
and it's not mine.
yeah,
These are
exactly.
side hustles.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for listening. If you made it this far, but again, we're trying to make this more regular. I know there was a bit of a delay with this one, but there was the Summer Games Fest and traveling. I actually bruised my lung and couldn't talk for a couple days, so it's been interesting. But if you did tune in and make it all the way through, thank you very much. Remember to have fun out there, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Peace.